Welcome to 155, or should I say 1, 2, 3, 4 punk song score week of show. Sam?
That's okay. Okay, pretty good. How are you doing, Josiah?
I'm doing good. I've kind of been working really hard today to try to create something that will make sense of this entire month that has been Jawbreaker, an exploration of the music of Jawbreaker and the cultural impact of Machine Gun Kelly. And I found it. I have found the thing that pieces it all together.
Wow.
And I've been working really hard to find. I've literally spent. I'm not like joking aside. I think I have dedicated about 2 hours today trying to find audio of this.
That's a lot of time.
And I didn't find audio, so I feel like a personal failing on my part. But I am still going to include this right off the top, and I think this is an important piece of the show. This comes from Spin Magazine. I don't know if you heard of that. Spin Magazine. Usually you spin the record, but they're spinning a magazine.
They're spinning the magazine. That's so interesting.
To talk about that. So Jawbreaker bring workman-like.
Written by Bob Ham.
Robert Ham. And this isn't, keep in mind, this isn't the punk news section, but it may as well be because this is from March 19th, 2022. That was just so early on in the COVID-19 pandemic, March 19th. Just kidding. I don't know what I'm doing here, but that's from this year.
That was
March 19th.
Close to the anniversary. It was the end. We were celebrating 2 years of COVID around the time that old Bobby Ham.
Bobby Ham
cracked open the laptop.
He was doing a
tinkle
recap.
the keys.
Is how they call review. I guess they call them recaps. Try to be a little bit more hip with their journalisming.
Right. Trying to see if you can get those clicks from people looking for TV recaps.
Exactly. Jawbreaker bring workman-like attitude to Dear You anniversary tour opener. Reunited emo punk trio punched the clock in Seattle to celebrate their final album. I guess I never really thought about Jawbreaker being kind of working class, but it is there in the gruffness of this fellow's voice, isn't it? He kind of has like he wants to sound like he's lifted something before, and he has carried the freaking scene on his back for all these years.
Wow.
Well, speaking of scenes, this is how the recap, aka show review, opens from Bobby Ham at Spin Magazine. The final chord of Bad Scene, Everyone's Fault, had barely faded into oblivion when Blake Schwarzenbach laid himself bare. Standing on stage at Seattle's Showbox Soto, a relatively intimate venue, cowering in the shadow of the baseball stadium up the street and tuning his guitar, the mercurial leader of the recently resurrected punk outfit Jawbreaker admitted that was the first time the band had played the song live. It never felt right for the trio to trot that tune out in the past, he said, due to the rising tide of pop-punk groups coming up behind them. They missed their chance, he went on. If I had kept on that road, I could be Machine Gun Kelly. I could be hanging out with Kardashians. Instead, Schwarzenbach admitted he was still living in a studio apartment in Brooklyn. So there is somewhere, presumably, someone has recorded this show, and there is audio of Blake Schwarzenbach talking about Machine Gun Kelly. And the Kardashians. So it's kind of, it doesn't.
Blake Schwarzenbach is doing the pod.
he was doing Jawbreaker months before us earlier this year. We were talking about MC Arch, and he was already doing the pod. I feel like also living in a studio apartment in Brooklyn is not really the poor man thing that he's trying to make it sound like, is it? At this point,
no. There's much poorer ways to live in America. Yeah, that's definitely not like a top 100 poor life in America. So were you trying to? I want to get a sense of you were channeling your inner Robert Ham.
I was
trying to scribe out. But it's been a number of years since you were sort of actively scribing, and so maybe you're a little rusty. I want to get a sense of over the course of 2 hours what your process looked like.
Well, I watched every video that was posted from Jawbreaker, and this was the kickoff of their Dear You tour as well. Like they had not played, and I think they are getting to the point where they're milking all the reunion stuff. So this still was a big deal in the sense that they've never played the Dear You shows before, but they've been playing like every week for the last 6 years or whatever. Like, come on,
the Dear You tour has been going on for I think the entire life of this podcast.
Yeah. So, but they were still, so there's kind of like this big first show. And so I watched all the videos of them. I mean, it's kind of clear. I just assumed that Robert Hamm probably had fucked up maybe which song it was. Or not assumed, I hoped. Because, it seems like Robert Hamm was taking notes. The fact that he has this full quote transcribed, does that mean he has the audio? Or is he one of those J-men who can just remember strictly what was said?
I feel like Ham, he's a J Ham.
Because part of, I mean, the first part of the quote is not a direct quote saying that it was the first time the band had played the song live, which is also incorrect because on setlist.fm it says they've played it in the 90s. So someone's lying somewhere.
But
anyways,
I have trouble imagining Blake. To me, doing the Kardashians thing seems reasonable because that is like a catch-all. It's the I don't own a TV of an era.
Yeah.
But Machine Gun Kelly feels like, I don't know, I somehow struggle.
I was thinking about that too. But then I was thinking, someone probably showed him that there's a song called Jawbreaker. And methinks he has enough of an ego to think that he owns the concept of Jawbreaker as sort of a cultural name, more so than the movie or the candy. He probably,
Interesting.
Yeah, I think my guess is that somebody showed him Jawbreaker, or maybe he's a full-on head. I mean, there's more to come this week, I think, about this. But anyway, so I clicked around on YouTube. I watched literally every video. I was hoping that Bobby Hamm was wrong about what song it was. I did find in front of a different song, he's like, and here's another one we've never played live before. And so that was probably filmed like right after he did this. So disappointing.
Did you try to reach out to any friends? I mean, you're sort of a bit of a West Coastman. Was there no one you could hit up who was in attendance? Who also bootlegs shows, maybe.
That's the thing. Is like, and so one of the people who uploaded videos from it was Ian from the band Japanther, which I thought was kind of interesting because I think of Japanther as being a really sick. Probably when it comes to bands that start with J-A and end with E-R, number one on my list would be Japanther over Jawbreaker. But he's just like a normal guy putting like shows on his YouTube page now, which is just so weird. I think it was
that is really strange. Yeah.
So he did it, and then I was like poking around. I was like using Web Archive to try to find like bootleg sites, and then going to the new iteration of it to see if anyone had uploaded. But people, and then I was like, oh, maybe Blake Schwarzenbach, every time he plays this song, he thinks this. Maybe he's recycling banter. And so I I clicked around on like live at the Fillmore.
Yeah.
I was digging, and I can't find it. So if anyone has audio of Blake Schwarzenbach saying the phrase Machine Gun Kelly, I think that would really heal something inside of me. But I do think ultimately this has already helped a lot with just kind of making sense of everything.
So once again, what was your process were you just Googling like Blake Schwarzenbach, Machine Gun Kelly? How did you end up reading the spin recap of the Seattle Jawbreaker show from March 2022?
I'm not gonna mince words. I've been searching in quotation marks the phrases Machine Gun Kelly and Boxcar for quite a few weeks at this point to just see what could happen.
Yeah.
I definitely did debase myself and reach out to one of the bigger meme accounts that I'm mutuals with, who I noticed MGK follows, and see if he could reach out to him. And he said to me, "Did I tell you this? I can't remember.
No.
Oh my god!
All you told me is that you did tell me that you were officially beginning your campaign to get MGK.
Oh yeah, because you were away last week, which is a whole other thing that
we'll save that for. There's enough happening in this episode. We don't have to talk about
that. Let me see. I'm gonna just. This is for. This is for G-Chat tier only.
Oh wow! Okay.
I reached out to this guy. I was trying to get MGK. I've been searching it nonstop, and then today I was just like, you know what? It's a slow day for me. I'm kind of bored. I'm just gonna search Machine Gun Kelly, Jawbreaker, Boxcar, each phrase in quotation marks, and see. And then the spin one showed up for some reason. The reply from this person that I reached out to. It's so good.
Oh, wow. Wow, come on. I think, can you not read the response? Because that doesn't out which meme account you sent this to.
I mean, you probably...
And if you'll recall, a huge part of Blink-155 was that, like, we had every meme account on. Yeah. So, like, this covers
probably, like,
anyone
one of
who's
the
ever
biggest.
made a meme.
That's true.
That's right. This is Fuck Jerry. This comes from Fuck Jerry.
I mean,
this is
not far off, and also really nice guy, honestly. And he still did reach out on my behalf.
He did?
Yeah.
Despite this being his response? I think you can read this response.
I said, I noticed MGK follows you. Have you ever talked to him? Trying to book him on the pod to talk about Jawbreaker. I know it's a long shot, but thought you might have some insight as to who I should talk to. And then he said, don't you think if he saw your Twitter, he'd know you guys constantly make fun of him? LOL.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think that we're making fun of him.
I think my reply is literally, it starts with, here's the thing. And I even said to try to be like relatable to a memer, and I debased myself and said, I'm MGK pilled. And I don't say pilled, but I said it because I was trying to
Oh, wow. You were code switching.
I was code switching. And then he said, I'll just say hey and let you know if he answers.
And?
I mean, I never heard back. That was over a week ago. So God bless you for doing the big memer. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
But it also does relate to this idea that I guess, and we'll I don't know if we're going to talk about this later, so I'm going to ruin it now and talk about the song a little bit. But I did see this.
We probably weren't going to talk about the song. So.
Yeah, so it's probably fine a little bit in the preamble. I did see this. I was kind of curious what kind of losers would be tweeting this disgusting turn of phrase. And one of them,
I saw this too. Yeah,
yeah, and one of them is the all-time homie Travis Barker, who is cool now officially as of this year. But in September of 2020, when he was still, maybe not as cool as he is now. Now that he's married, maybe I just respect husbands so much.
That's what it is. You're husband to husband.
You're
willing to show deference.
Before he was hubby pilled, I didn't really feel this way. But in September 2020, he tweeted, "You're not punk, and I'm telling everyone." And then I was like, we know that they know about Jawbreaker, but I think this thing that Blake has said about the Kardashians shows that he really does know what's up. Like to know that he. And also, is he dissing? I guess the other thing that I'm trying to say is I think it's really arrogant to say that if I had kept going, I could be MGK and Blink-182. Like, I think that's part of the Jawbreaker lore is that they think that they called all the shots. But I honestly think that their music is too annoying and grunty to have really ever reached this. They think that they just oh yeah, we decided we didn't want to be like that. But I think the market decided to a little bit. The
market factors. There are definitely market indicators here. MGK stock was dipping. MGK stock rising every day. MGK to the moon with MGK. But that's why I honestly struggle. I can't picture I could be Machine Gun Kelly as a phrase coming out of Blake Schwartz and Box's band. I really can't.
The audio. I
could be hanging out with Kardashians feels like kind of fun. This also feels like a joke. I can't really imagine.
I'm sure it's a joke. Yeah, I'm sure he meant it as a joke, but
the moment was played for laughs by the rangy singer-guitarist, Rangy.
That's classic Bobby Ham right there.
Yeah, that's it. Fucking J-Hams over here.
So, anyways, Blake Schwarzenbach, you'll never be Machine Gun Kelly, but Machine Gun Kelly could write He did write Jawbreaker. So let's go into let's go into the punk news section of the show. Punk news.
Wow, that was a real kind of like a vague rooster sound, and maybe I'm just sort of attuned to it because my neighbor. I'm just waking up, but also I've got the sounds of animals all around me. My neighbor's dog is howling. It's so lonely. I'm just thinking of animal sounds now. The howl of a dog, the crow of a rooster, the gentle coo of a podcaster. So for my punk news, I wanted to share an article.
You didn't clear it with me this week. Also, I'm nervous. This better be fucking good. This better be fucking good. I feel like it's unlikely
you did this. This really came out of a conversation that I was having with someone because you always go on and on about these bands with 100 followers and managers that everyone is very excited about on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've talked about this, but this to me is part of the same thing, which is that bands that have 100 followers but always tour with a photographer.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's somehow the new thing. Like every band that I follow that is younger than me, like always is like every band has a full-time photographer now, and I assume that's because of the like insatiable need to be posting at all times, and that you can't just rely on like someone local to take
It's not
a
about
few
the
photos
tunes
of you.
anymore. That's probably
not
why
about the
Blake
tunes.
Schwarzenbach hung up his axe for so long.
Because he could have been MGK.
Yeah.
And mostly, so like I don't necessarily particularly want to roast this because it just this person seems nice. But this is from Couture, my favorite fashion website.
So what's Couture? Because it almost looks like they've chopped up the Vogue logo. Is this some kind of Vogue
It does
vertical?
look like I wondered if it was a Vogue vertical, but I didn't read any
Nasty
further. Yeah, they're getting nasty with it. Couture, I mean, it does have. It's big. Couture has 1 million followers on the gram.
Damn.
So let's see. About Us. It just sounds
they
like
got a whole bunch of fake Polaroids of the staff, and some of them they forgot to put the grain filter over.
Yeah,
once you get to the bottom rung of people, they're like, whatever. No one's scrolling.
they just sort of cropped it in the general.
Yeah, you don't need to look vintage.
They really do all kind of like, not all of them, but I would say about 60% of these people look identical. Very, very spooky vibes happening here. And so this is Mariah Fisher writing for Couture, not a Condé Nasty publication, but a popular one, clearly. This is, I just kind of really love the title of this because I would like, back in the day, I feel like we used to, when Junior Battles would go on tour, we would sometimes write like tour diaries for punk news. Like bands, alternative press. Like I'm sure the websites that you read back in the day would have, I think Exclaim did this, right? Tour diaries. And it was always like, woke up in Saskatchewan. Oh, brother, not feeling very good. But, got to make that drive to Regina. Met up with Metal Hank. Crazy as ever. The show was good. Afterwards, and you're like,
and Scion is paying for the blog.
It's all paid for by Scion. I did one.
We need Scion to come back, or like we need a new car company to pick up the mantle.
We should just pretend that this entire podcast is sponsored by Scion. This is just an endless Scion session that you're all a part of.
We do know about Torque, so it could work.
Yeah, that's true.
Torch and Torque. Talk.
That's it. We've got everything you need. For your cool Toyotas. So what I wore on a punk rock tour, which I do. So hang on,
is it Mariah Fisher has joined the band, or is it?
Yeah, so I think Mariah Fisher has always wanted to be a punk rocker.
I did find Mariah Fisher's Twitter. Not very many followers, to be honest, but also tweeting about stuff like Dimes Square. So we know it's kind of someone who knows about the vibe shift. It's definitely
yeah. The subhead here is my dream of playing in a rock band finally came to fruition, and so did the ultimate sartorial opportunity.
Let's go.
Which fucking does rock. Because I look back on the photos of myself on tour. I don't know. Were you dripping back when you toured? Because I was quite hideous. I just wore gigantic brown shorts because I wanted to be in Blink, but that was sort of what I had access to. And
I don't think I had
the same terrible T-shirt.
I don't think I was like following Hypebeast on Twitter yet, and that.
But were you cool? If I were to look up, I feel like when you Google image search,
I've always had drip for sure.
Josiah Hughes, grown ups. Let's see.
No, I'll show you. I'll show you that.
I want to see. Yeah, because you're right. Even I look at these photos of you guys, and you guys are cool. When you look up Josiah Hughes Grown Ups, the first image search result is from a Vice article about you and your famous friend.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that, but check out.
Yeah, see
when I'm playing in the church with the hand. If you skip it through this video, I feel there's a lot of bullshit in here. I feel like I got some good thrift store drip going on. I'm wearing some brown Lee pants.
Yeah,
and some.
Yeah, you look cool. You look cool. Whereas I really don't. I wish I could go back and treat every tour that I went on as
that's the other
sartorial opportunity that it was.
I can remember being specifically in the hand, but I'm trying to think. I haven't really been in too many bands with lots of people that aren't direct family, but definitely there's been times where I've wished that I could, pull my friend aside and be like, "Don't wear that, please."
Really, you just
I do think that it's kind of I think Mariah Fisher despite I assume this has been roasted to oblivion. This article, I haven't seen it. I haven't been around.
This came from my usual method of research.
Wow, so
yeah,
Sam's on his ham shit too. So this hasn't been roasted yet. I feel like it's very roastable.
Maybe it has.
But I also feel like
it does.
I just searched the URL on Twitter and no one has tweeted. This URL has never been tweeted before in the history of its existence.
Wow. Even Mariah Fisher themselves has not tweeted this?
No, Mariah Fisher's barely mentioning her employer, just talking about Dime Square. She's probably angling for like a Stavros follow back or something, I think. Not like
right.
Already mentioning Dime Square, we're getting too close to being that kind of podcast. We gotta pivot back.
We should.
But I think what I'm saying is Mariah Fisher is pointing at a larger issue of the fact that drip, we pretend it's not important, but you got to dress cool if you want to be cool when you're on tour. And that could mean anything. It could mean like
dress cool, be cool.
Lil B intentionally would show up early to each city so that he could go to a thrift store and buy one cool item that he'd wear. And it'd usually be like a flower or like a gardening hat, gloves that were used, or like a gardening, always like some middle-aged women wear. And he would just always
gardening gear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, I don't know if Lil B traveled with a photographer, but it sounds like there was a photographer traveling with this band. Jess X was who she was filling in for on bass. They were opening for TVOD, and their looks were captured by musician and photographer Birthday Girl and Tessa Smith. So there may have been two photographers, a photographer per band on this tour. And then honestly, the looks are all good. And it's not like, mostly it's like, I thrifted this, but then of course there's like how to buy the look. But it's just really funny to be like, here are my sartorial choices for playing Cleveland.
This is so good. I mean, we kicked off the tour at Berlin in New York, which happens to be a few blocks from where CBGB's used to be. Isn't kind of all of New York like that, really? I mean,
yeah, you're a block from something that was like once famous to someone. But you know, in general, like, look, I'm not here because I dress like shit to critique any of the looks, but it was simply just, I love the subhead, like I love the headline, I love everything about it conceptually. But then in particular, I would just like someone to like, at what point do you start bringing a photographer on tour with you? Is it like your first, like do you get the photographer before or after you get the manager? Like, what is the deal?
Piss for Pumpkin. This is truly becoming with Piss for Pumpkin. That band is always writing their logo all over the place in my neighborhood. You know what? It's disrespectful. That's pretty Respect the walls, okay? So come on, enough with that. What can you show me? I don't see in the article where the name of the band. I would love to hear the band. The
band. There's a really long intro. It looks like the band is called Jess X, but it links to... Unfortunately,
this is like a crazy long intro, and then there's really only two looks.
It's a really long intro. There's not a lot of looks. I think I found... This is the band. This is their single. I'm just going to put this in the watch together so we can get a sense of what the sound of these looks, you know? So this is Scream from Jess X.
My mom said to go outside, and my mom said to get a fucking life.
Yeah.
I can't pay rent.
Talking about your mom, that's pretty tight.
I'm so sick and tired of my
Anthem
fucking
Part 2
songs.
vibes.
Nothing rhymes in my fucking songs, and I just want
I do like
to
this.
sing along.
Yeah, this is cool.
I want to say how I fucking feel, and
Now, it makes sense to me that it,
stupid love ordeal.
169 views on their video would have a photographer.
I fucking scream so loud. Really loud. Too fucking loud.
So this is now becoming my like oldest man opinion, which is just like why a photographer, why, and that's really all I have.
Well, I think it's so that you can have somebody write an article for a sartorial magazine that suspiciously looks like a Condé Nast vertical, but isn't.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I feel like it's like Inception. It's Condéception here.
Can we become Condé Nast? How do you do that?
I don't know. I mean, I think we just gotta join their union or something, or not join the union.
There's been a few times I've invited people on the show who work for Condé Nast, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let me just run it by my boss," and then they never write me back again. So It's kind of cool.
That's it. Condé Nast bosses hate 155. Speaking truth to power.
Well, you know what? We don't need him because we got our own gossip journalist. That's right. For the final time, we've got an update from our friend Crystal Kravis Forever. Crystal, how are you doing personally today?
Doing very good. Actually, celebrating my sister's birthday this afternoon and ready to party.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday to... And your sister also has a K name, right? Is that...
No, she's N name. This is the outlier, yeah.
That's sad. Yeah, she'll have to change it. Well, what's your sister's name?
My sister's name is Nicole.
Happy birthday, Nicole, from all of us at 155. We wish you all the best, and, I hope you have a great time partying with Crystal tonight. But here's the thing. Sam and I already recorded the bulk of the episode on Monday, and I did do this seamless intro into as if you were just here with us. I mean, it's incredible the ability I have to intro. But the truth is, we're talking right now, and it's Wednesday at noon. And, I mean, what I think is crazy is I messaged you and said, do you want to come on for, we've loved having you on for our Kravis Forever updates all month. Do you want to come, the Kardashians is over. Maybe there's nothing to talk about. And then between Monday and now, I mean, for those who maybe don't know somehow what's going on, it's crazy.
It's incredible. I mean, you're exactly right. We had kind of just like, let's do a little recap. But Travis, unfortunately, was rushed to the hospital last night. Seems like he went in for something that was probably not that big of a deal to the West Hills Hospital, and they felt that it was a more serious situation. So they did have him transferred over to Cedars-Sinai. Kourtney Kardashian was seen obviously at his side. His daughter Alabama last night posted and was asking everyone for prayers, as well as like a few of, the usual suspects that Travis hangs around with, Mod Sun for one. So we haven't had an update yet as to what Travis's current condition is. I do know that a few people within the family have, definitely asked for the prayers. It is a little suspicious and a little alarming that none of the Kardashian clan has posted in the last 12 hours, which is very unusual for that crew.
Wow. So it's I didn't realize that he was already at the hospital for something else and then was rushed over.
He was, yeah. A lot of people are speculating, there's speculation that it's a hand injury. And Travis does have a history of clotting issues. And so it is possible that something that was really small and he didn't think much of could have become something worse with that condition. There's also been speculation that perhaps he has COVID. Kourtney did just recover from COVID not too long ago. And so that is something that is circulating about as well, but nothing confirmed from either one of them yet.
Right. And then there's also a bunch of pieces of shit doing really bad speculation that sucks that I keep seeing as well. So that's no good. But I mean, obviously we hope Travis is okay and that everything works out. One thing I also noticed, I mean, it's been barely any time at all, and people are being huge pieces of shit for sure. One thing I noticed that seemed like kind of a salty headline, maybe not, was I saw Travis's son appeared with Machine Gun Kelly at Madison Square Garden last night, and the headline was he performed anyways despite his dad being in the hospital or something.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's almost a little bit reassuring, right? Because if it was something more serious, you bet that kid would have been on a plane. He would have been heading back home. I don't think he would have been performing if something was life-threatening. So it may be serious and it may be something that he does need to be hospitalized for, but I don't think anyone, I don't think he'd be there performing and singing his heart out if his dad was in the hospital.
Right.
It's also, you didn't know. I mean, he was in show prep at the time that this dropped. So it is definitely possible that he wasn't aware, because it does look like the kids found out at the same time we did.
Right. And so, I mean, tell me what, in terms of running your empire, Kravis Forever, is this eating up all of your time? You're just waiting for, is somebody going to text you who has the hot tip, or do you have to are you just like us, just constantly refreshing different pages?
Yeah, constantly refreshing. I do have a couple of feelers out to people who have given me some info in the past. So I'm hoping to get something back from them. But so far, nobody knows anything. Everything's in the dark. And like I said, the Kardashians are really good at shutting things down. So they did shut down all of their social media. No one is posting right now. So that could be that it's serious, or it could also mean that they don't want to spread anything that, isn't going to be good for the narrative. They're all very smart in that way.
Right. It's true. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, and obviously Courtney was photographed with him. So it's good he's surrounded by, even Kravis. Kravis stays strong throughout this. He's not just Travis right now. He's still got his Kravis power.
Alabama is in the hospital with him too. She did post a picture of herself by her father's side. He was holding a cell phone in his hand. So again, all good things. It does look like whether it may be serious, but definitely not life-threatening as of yet.
Right. Okay. Wow. Is there anything else before this or anything else that we need updates on this week?
I think that, we've kind of covered everything. Obviously, the show wrapped. We're looking forward to season 2. No drop date on that yet, but once we know, we'll let you guys know. So Blink 175 is my first stop.
Perfect. Outside of this horrible Travis emergency, I would like to know, seeing as you are kind of a true kind of Kardashian head, how did you feel about this show, The Kardashians, on Hulu?
I thought it was nice that we got that extra piece where they could talk to the camera and be a little bit more real. It wasn't as produced, but it was more of the same. A lot of the get-togethers and all of that, we know that that's all staged. We know that when they're not filming, they're not always having cookouts. They're a close-knit family, but it's very obvious the events that are not real. I did love seeing Courtney and Travis on camera. We see them in photos all the time, so it was great to see them interact, and I was very excited to get to watch that piece. But I'm ready for next season because I want to see the wedding. Right. This was fun, but let's get to the real deal. I want to see the wedding. I want to see all of the shenanigans that went into that.
Okay, I just had a potentially cynical thought that I don't really want to indulge, but I have to. Are they filming the show right now? Is this hospital scare going to be on the show? Or are they always filming, or are there set months that they don't film?
Right now it's hard to tell because of the fact that this is the first kind of year of Hulu. So I'm not sure where their breaks are. It was always really easy to tell when they were filming on E where their breaks were and when, things started up. They were pretty continuous when they were filming with E, because they would start one season, then have a few months hiatus, then start another season. But with Hulu, I'm not sure how often the show is going to drop new seasons. And so once we see what that pattern looks like, then it'll be pretty easy to discern how often that they're recording.
Right. All right. Well, if something crazy happens in the next couple hours, maybe we'll have to link up. I'll have to, or maybe we'll have to get Nicole on the horn and get her take on it. Or, I don't want to blow up the birthday party, but this is a crazy day. But otherwise, hopefully he recovers. This is just a blip. This is just a little time capsule in the Punk News segment. But Crystal, it's been such a pleasure having you on every week this month.
I have so enjoyed it. I love being on 155 Pod. You guys are the best. You're always so good to me. Thank you so, so much for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you. And everyone, make sure you follow Kravis Forever for these updates. And, maybe we should all start paying attention to Skeet now that Kravis has kind of settled down.
Update. As of recording time, TMZ reports that Travis Barker was in the hospital because he has pancreatitis, and the doctors believe it was triggered by colonoscopy. Multiple sources connected to the family tell TMZ Travis's Tuesday hospitalization was a result of the condition, which is inflammation of the pancreas, and includes symptoms like nausea, intense stomach pain, and vomiting. So there you have it.
Sam, do you... I'm just doing this because you couldn't hear the theme song play. But do you
have to come in. This week we're talking about... We're of course. You've seen it in your pod catcher. you're flicking that pod bean, and you know that it's the end of Jawbreaker. Thank you for saying Jawbreaker earlier, by the way, Josiah.
Yeah, no
and of
problem.
course, we have to talk about everyone's favorite song about being or not being punk. That's right. I was trying to think if there was a difference. Look, we're talking about Boxcar. We're obviously talking about Boxcar. There's no other way to end this month. It's the one.
You know, people also like to talk about Boxcar Racer. Well, when it comes to this particular song, I wish I could be a Boxcar E-Racer, which is how I feel about it.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So you've obviously heard this song before because this is just sort of like one of those ubiquitous songs.
I didn't really know what it was when you were saying, you were like, obviously we shouldn't do Boxcar. It's too obvious. And I was like, oh, what's that one? And then you're like, oh, okay, I guess we should do it.
I guess we'll do Boxcar then, yeah.
You're just you're so malleable, really. I can manipulate you.
You know what it is? I think about that often. I very rarely disagree with you. Like like you and I will like sort of go back and forth on something, but generally, if you're like, maybe we should do this thing, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like I do put a lot of stock in your opinions. And I worry it is to my detriment.
That's why we've dug the most niche grave for ourselves.
Yeah, it's why the podcast is not like. And then on February 7th, 1994, the band released what many consider to be their defining anthem, both cementing themselves as the punk laureates of the moment and casting off into a future where many
is this your own prose that you're reading?
This is further aspersions would be cast their way. The ultimate
like
question: what defines? It's my Sam Eagle. It is the American way. So Boxcar. I'm trying to. I'm doing Sam Eagle in the Muppet Christmas Carol, where he's a teacher.
Before you went there, you kind of were in your own like original. You kind of had created your own original Muppet, which I was really into. And then and then as soon as you become self-aware, it becomes too exact. That's really the story of punk, man. No, just kidding.
Oh damn!
I think I've heard this song, but I feel like I've mostly seen it in like Makeout Club signature or something. Like it just seems like some shit that's quoted by losers everywhere. And I honestly hate this song so much, and it has made me fully take back anything good I've said about Jawbreaker this month.
How do you hate this song?
It's
like hating a nursery rhyme. Like this is the most like nursery rhyme ass song we've ever talked about, and you love that shit.
I know, but not when it's like. Okay, it reminds me specifically of like when there was shows at Tubby Dog for like 10 years, and it was incredible and so fun. But then there would be these like fucking geeks from the suburbs who would come in and like start kind of like ruining the vibe and being annoying and obnoxious and way too drunk and like moshing in like the most annoying invented way that no one's ever done before. And then they would like be obviously kicked out because they sucked and were terrible. But then I feel like those people would go and write this song and be like, I don't follow the rules of punk. Like this is like a song that is, I laugh at you because you're all the same. Or like, why is punk uniform if you're not conforming or what? Like it's just like this. Ugh.
But I feel like it's the funny version of that. No, it's like the funny version of that.
So, but he's not being.
It's the version of that song that you would write. Like to me, this is like a sort of two levels of irony, like Josiah version of a punk politics take.
I mean that hurts,
which I'm really sorry about.
That hurts a little. Yeah. I get it, and it is. I know, and that's the thing is like I love being tongue in cheek, but I feel like sometimes it's just nasty. You got to let. Starts to feel like sometimes the tongue in cheek starts to feel like the dentist with the fluoride, and you just like need to spit every once in a while. You know, it's like get that shit out of my mouth.
That's also pretty punk, though.
It's true. I don't know. Maybe it's because like if there was like if he wasn't saying you're not punk, like if it wasn't using the word punk so much, maybe.
But that's why it's so funny.
But is it?
You're not
to
punk,
be funny?
And I'm telling everyone. Yeah, it's supposed to be fucking funny.
But I think it's like
you're not punk, and I'm telling everyone. Obviously, that's funny. That's a funny thing to say in a song.
It's a funny thing to say in a song, but they're quoting their own detractors, right? Or they're quoting the people who would say that, and then it's kind of like this anthem about being like, well, whatever. I never was any. I don't even know what punk means. It's like it's the pod basically, but without it. I don't think it's funny at all. I think it's funny in like an annoying way, kind of.
No, I think this is like an original Weird Al song. Like to me, this is Nature Trail to Hell.
So tell me what the song.
One More Minute. Or
tell me
something,
what the song is
one
about.
Of the real classics. It's about being punk. Here's a question. Do you identify as punk? Would you be like...
No, of course not. I mean, identify as silly is specifically how I identify.
Okay.
But
maybe that's why you don't get it, because you're not, but if you identified as punk, then you'd really...
Is the narrator of this song considering himself to be punk? Or is he saying that I never was punk, so I'm above your little debates about what's punk or not? Because that's what I think it is.
I mean, ultimately it is about being like above the debate, but I think it's being delivered in a way that is like this is.
I agree.
Like,
it's like funny.
Two
It's
songs
like
before
sardonic.
this on this album, you've got like I'm a boat baby, and then to be like you're not punk, and I'm telling everyone is such a like
it is a
really
funny line.
funny and
I agree
literal
with you.
way to open a song.
Okay. I agree with you that
okay.
Is a funny
So
line.
first line, we're good. What
the
about
sense
Save
that,
Your Breath?
like,
I never was one.
Yeah, like in the sense that like you would be forced to study this in grade 9 English class as an example of like sardonic prose. It's funny to open it like that. And it is funny to imagine like, I guess, whatever was the version of Karen's back in 1994. Everyone sort of brainstormed, come up with something funny that could be the name then for that,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can work on that. I couldn't tell you. What's the 94 Bay Area punk Karen called? Aaron's, like Comet Bus.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But anyways, like, I don't know. There's just something. Maybe I've just heard it too much. And also then, like, you don't know what I'm all about, killing cops and reading Kerouac. First off, this reminds me of all the libs who are, like, calling for a general strike on Twitter this week, who are, like, not going to, and I'm not doing much either, or I'm not really doing anything either, so who am I to say? But at the same time, like, the narrator of the song has never killed a cop. Is that also
and that's why
exaggerated?
That's the point.
But he does
Yes,
read Kerouac. He loves Kerouac and Bivouac and all the whacks, really.
He's a big time whack fan. See, the song is wacky.
But is it wacky? That's what I don't understand.
It's wacky. That's the thing is, okay, so because I think
I'm just getting the Gen X
it sounds
vibes.
silly too. It sounds like the boo doo doo.
No, I don't mind
like,
that. I don't mind like
goofy.
the bouncy musicianship. I don't mind. But then when you add like like he sounds like a Muppet that I would skip the segment. I would be like, oh, not these fucking cabbages again. I'm skipping these grumpy cabbages. That's what he sounds like.
You don't like the cabbages? The cabbages are fucking awesome. I hope you're just saying that because you were just thinking of a musical Muppet bit that
the cabbages are okay, but sometimes when you watch
the cabbages are okay. They're so funny.
When you watch the actual Muppet Show, some of the songs get when it's like a weird like bigger guy who has like a snout and it's not like one of the cool Muppets, but it's just like a guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. He sounds like that guy. I don't like the vocals. I don't like the Gen X-ness of it. Is what I don't like, and I think Gen X really did ruin sardonicism by overdoing it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look, I think I was trying to look up...
here's the line that really kills me, okay? Here's the line that really just fucking irks me to no end. I'm coloring outside your guidelines. So you're taking the phrase, I'm coloring outside of the lines, and then making it guidelines? That gives me chills. In a bad way.
It's good. So, okay, I think the idea that, like, you're like, okay, because You're Not Punk and I'm Telling Everyone not as clever because it is being delivered as a quote, but then the idea of, like, your own identity being, like, cop killing and reading Kerouac, to me indicates a degree of awareness around the fact that, like, even by this point in 1994, as a Gen Xer who's like a cool Gen Xer, the idea of sort of using the fact that you read like a very popular author as part of your identity that like, cements you as like because ultimately it's like I'm well read and I also like hate cops. Like it feels like taking the air out of that criticism even of the band to be like it's too much like trying to be like Bukowski, because this to me is like self-aware of like I'm writing a song about how I love to read, again, like a very popular author. And I think that and so even when you get into like I'm coloring outside your guidelines, but then you've already got this framing that to me indicates that they know that everything is funny, like that none of it means anything, and therefore it is like a stupid song. Like even musically, it's got this like like funny, goofy vibe to it that telegraphs the fact that nothing. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's punk? What's the score?
So maybe it's coming back to my feelings on satire in general. Is that I agree everything you're saying. I'm starting to understand. I'm calming down a little bit. I'm starting to see clearly. I'm not
I knew you were going to fucking hate this song
anymore. I'm calm. My fight or flight has dissipated. I can understand what you're saying. Maybe it boils down to, once again, Gen X satire is not something that anyone is mature enough to handle. And I think that now this song is just like, we're going to have like, and people call me a punisher sometimes. And I just want you to know that this week's cover section is your punishment for making us do this month. So that's what's going to happen. But I just think that, the world isn't nuanced enough to really handle these lyrics.
Well, I get it. Because look, I'm looking at it on Genius, and when you click on the 1, 2, 3, 4, who's punk, what's the score? The annotation, and I don't even know how you could, because this is just correct, I guess, but it's just framed by being so literal about what the song means. You're like, oh, well, that is goofy, because someone has written, Boxcar is a general funk you. The radio friendly version of this podcast. Boxcar is a general fuck you to punk purists with very narrow definitions of what is and isn't punk. The gist of it is that it shouldn't matter because punk should not be an elitist, image-obsessed clique within rock. Starting a song by counting 1, 2, 3, 4 was made popular by the Ramones, who many credit inventing punk. I just like the idea of an image-obsessed clique within rock. Like that's one of those rock cliques. But just even by spelling it out like that, because it's so fucking obvious, you're like, well, I get it. It's embarrassing. But it's just so fun. Like to me, it can only, and that's where I think it gets lost in some of the covers, which we will talk about as we get through them, is like the guys that you were describing of like ruining shows, being like, yeah, like this, this is punk, this isn't punk, and like this feeling like a song for those people, as opposed to, in my mind, like this is a song for me, know? Like I feel like I'm like, because I have also read Kerouac and never been truly punk, but you're like, I like all these things. Like we've talked about this, in relation to like what is the cool punk thing that is like going on in cities that you live in at any given time. And like the Toronto for the last few years has had like, whatever decade, has had like some very, very cool punk shit happening that I am not into and am therefore like not really a part of. And you're like, does that make me less punk?
So you,
and I think that ultimately,
we have asked each other this question before, but you do think that you are punk or no?
Punk. I don't think I'm punk.
You don't?
I don't. But I think
you
the
said
idea,
you were. We're going to need a fact check from the listeners. I think
you said in the past
you said you were.
Look, I think whatever I said before, now I'm saying the cooler, more detached version of it because I've spent more time talking to you. But I think the idea that like you have this song for the sorts of people that developed very real attachments to this band, and maybe that's it. Maybe I see Jawbreaker fans as exclusively the people that I relate to in this world. And those are the people that we've had on the podcast. It's like people like my sister, where it's like the stuff that we ultimately like took from punk or were attached to within punk. This feels like the perfect kind of parody within all that, and how and the way that identity as like a musical identity, as a cultural identity, gets deconstructed and interrogated. and to do it in a way that feels like so fucking funny, as opposed to like, because there are obviously very serious songs about what is or what isn't punk, to sort of do it with this like air of detachment, especially when it comes from this band that there's not a lot of, you know, detached irony in the song about wanting to be a boat, and so it's especially arresting in the context of. But I think about a song like Accident Prone and you compare that to this and you're like, that breadth, that ability to be, because, you know, this comes up a lot, like funny, I don't remember what I was listening to recently or reading about recently, but the idea that like in general, no one takes funny music seriously. You know, I mean, we don't take comedic movies seriously. We don't sort of allow ourselves to accept the fact that like a joke can be just as good as a cry. Is that the point that I'm trying to make here? And so I think the idea that this band that was so known for the cry is now the joke. That's good stuff to me. It's like when Adam Sandler does a serious movie, but reversed.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think, to me, I feel like ultimately, it's more of an I'm not mad, it's actually funny to me kind of
right, okay.
That's what's getting me. But, you know, real quick, this will only take a few minutes of our time. I just wanted to compare it to another, because, you know, this debate about, like, sellouts and punk and all that stuff, like, it's kind of an olden days thing, and I know some journos have written about sellout stuff lately. Mm-hmm. But also one of my favorite artists has recently written about being a mainstream sellout, and I think it's kind of very similar sort of lyrics.
That's interesting.
Check it out.
Wow, it is kind of the same, eh? Like lyrically.
This is.
I don't think I listened this far in the album.
All these songs that I dismissed at first, I love so much. Leave the scene, you're ruining it.
Wow, it's basically Bad Scene, Everyone's Fault.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is that song also similarly like...
Oh, let's...
Do you think... Does Blake Schwarzenbach seriously think he could have written this?
There's no way. Bad Scene is more like a party song. It's like... it is Blink's the party song.
Yeah. Oh my god, these Bad Scene lyrics are even worse.
I made an album, they hate the track.
I think he said, you're so ephemeral. I mean, that's some Schwarzenbach shit.
Yeah. Wow, you're okay. Look at, I mean, the similarities don't. Maybe he really did say Machine Gun Kelly. You know what? It's kind of a good hook, eh?
It's so good. And also, like, this has been beaten to death, but the idea of Machine Gun Kelly writing a song, writing Boxcar about, like, feeling sorry for himself that everyone's calling him this out is so funny, because no one's ever called Machine Gun Kelly a sellout. He's been an industry plant for, like, 50 years.
It's true.
I just thought it's kind of similar thematically, and we're tying
similar
up
thematically, yeah.
to end Jawbreaker.
That's true. We got a few loose ends. I guess we've already tied up the loosest end already in their time, but in our time, we have yet to do that. We've yet to tie that one on. One more knot to tie in all this. You know, I don't know if you... I'm kind of curious because you responded to the grunting quite negatively. Did you listen... So they did re-record this, which is like classic, like real sellout behavior for Dear You. So there is like a version of Boxcar that is like the full shiny Rob Cavallo version of it that showed up on Etc., the B-Sides collection that like almost went on Dear You.
Okay, 1 second. Seriously, this is probably like the most popular and the most poppy Jawbreaker song, right? Is it?
Yeah. And I would say, like, I mean, I don't know what fucking Spotify or Apple Music say is the most popular, but like to me, this is like this is the one song that kind of everyone knows. It's like California Uber Alice or something.
It's like basically.
I don't know why that was my example.
If they hadn't,
you know,
if they hadn't have like, you know, decided that they didn't want to curse the world with their perfect mainstream perfection, and so they decided to give up for a few years before their triumphant return, which is how they seem to be telling the story. I think this could have been like a '90s one hit. Like maybe the best case scenario is Jawbreaker would have gotten huge with this song, and then everyone would have forgotten them. No one would have listened to the lyrics, and people like you would have said, "No, trust me, their albums are actually good." But they would just be like on Twitter with Eve Six and Weedus. Like they're not like going further than that. I don't think with this song.
No, like, so if you put this, I just want, like, because it's so different. It's really funny. It actually kind of sounds like it sounds like I Fought the Law, like in the Clash to it. Like it just sounds exactly like I Fought the Law.
Yeah. See, this could have been like on a Much Music video block.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Yeah, did they just become like Harvey Danger? You know?
I do like. Okay, I will say this. I do like when the chords start. The chord pattern starts like evolving quite a bit in the song. That's pretty cool to me. When it like instead of just going ba ba ba, it starts like climbing in the scale, and then the chords go to some interesting places for sure.
It's so nice that you found something that you like about it. That's pretty good. Well, look, let's watch a few live videos because I mean that's
me?
What I'm here
Is it
for.
just me, or I mean, I've mostly seen Seattle 2022 performances, but did they get like crazy slow, especially with this song? It seems so tired. What I saw, but maybe
I don't know. Let's see. Let's compare. So this is them performing it in 1993. So like it's not come out yet. This is from Vino's in Little Rock, Arkansas. And it's fucking cool. So. But yeah, you're right. Definitely like watching some of the newer live videos. You really.
This is a song called Boxcar, which is about trains and Jack Kerouac and how if you let your punk rock scene rule your mind, then you're fucked. You'll never become anything but a chunk.
Oh shit! What did he just say? I feel like he said.
Okay, hold on. You're right.
And no, there's a better story though. And this is a song called Boxcar, which is about trains and Jack Kerouac and how if you
Okay, so it's about trains and Jack Kerouac and how people.
let your punk rock scene rule your mind, then you're fucked. You'll never become anything but a chunk.
Something about people in the punk rock scene, you'll never become anything but a chump? Is that what he said? Is that what he said?
If you
Hold on,
let
we're
punk
gonna-
rock poison your mind, you're fucked.
Okay, let's.
And no, there's a better story though. And this is a song called Boxcar, which is about trains and Jack Kerouac and how if you let your punk rock scene rule your mind, then you're fucked. You'll never become anything but a chump.
If you let punk rock ruin your mind, you're fucked, and you'll never be anything but a chump. I think is what he said.
I mean, sick.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
A fiercely independent number about love.
Did he call it a fiercely independent number about love?
Oh my god, this guy needs to.
It's good.
That's. I don't even know what to say after hearing all that.
All right, well, it's about trains and Kerouac. It's your time. And then just for comparison, because there's a bunch of old videos, but I know we have a lot of covers to get to. So like, how many times do we want to hear this? But to me, like watching that grainy ass '93 video, and then like here they are performing it at Primavera Sound in 2019. This is like a beautiful like multicam.
Do they have a secret backup guitarist now too?
I don't know. I don't think so because it sounds like so bad.
I thought one of the
time.
vids. When I was poking around today. I thought there was another guy, but maybe he was just tuning up for Blakey.
Yeah, maybe. Hold on, dude.
See, it hurts me so much that other people have done full set videos and we don't have the Seattle 2022.
I want to get that. I want to get that beginning.
Yeah, what does he say at the start?
But it's just like, I don't think there's anybody else on stage here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no.
I mean, how did they put that sign up? That's the coolest part. It's so big.
There should be someone else on stage. It sounds like fucking shit.
It's just so sad.
Yeah, like live videos shouldn't be allowed.
Especially, the multicam ones, they just like mic the sound of the kick pedal, like the
it's so bad, yeah. And like at least like show the crowd a little bit, you know. Chris is looking vibey though.
This is like no different than watching 50-year-old men play rock show.
2, 3, 4, who's punk? What's the score?
Oh, you can hear people singing though. It's so great. Do you want to watch them playing it at Gilman in 2019 too? That's cool. The Gilman performance is crazy slow though. Like actually.
Yeah, why? Are they tired?
They're old. They're tired. They're not that slow.
It sounds like I can't even think of what band it's. It sounds like 5440 or something.
Oh yeah, totally. That's my 5440 voice.
It's like 90s Canadian alt.
Look at you, I go blind. 5440 fucking rocks, man. Oh, I want to hear these kids sing it though.
These kids. These like 45-year-old,
40-year-old kids.
Google employees or whatever.
1, 2, 3, 4, who's punk? What's the score?
So I feel maybe by the end of the covers, you know, we'll be the same.
Synced? Yeah, you think we got to sync up?
We'll be synced.
I hope so.
I think we got to sync up. Like I don't think I was able to convince you that it actually rocks, but it does. So I'm right, and I admit that this song is about trains and Kerouac. Is like not it's not helpful to my.
I think
maybe this song just fucking rocks, man.
I think you're doing that overly generous thing where it's like, yeah, it's annoying on purpose, it's bad on purpose, or it's like, oh, they're making a point by being this shitty. And I think that's a wonderful way to see the world. I wish I was like that too, but I don't think anyone's that clever, really.
You didn't even talk about the second verse starting with "Got a friend, her name is Boxcar."
I mean, I didn't even want to. And then her hair was blue, now it's green. I like her mind, she hates the scene.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, so you hate it more than ever now, and we're about to listen to covers by all your favorite bands.
For like 3 hours. Yeah, it's
good.
Okay. So good. I think it's going to make me love it, especially what I'm about to show you. So real quick, before we get to the best part of our lives, patreon.com/155pod. I'm going to be honest with you. We are pretty much just talking about Machine Gun Kelly all the time there right now, but that's going to come to an end soon. So, probably a good time to sign up. We've gotten it probably all out of our system for now.
I don't think that's like one of those things where like that's going to be lingering. Like our stool is going to be loose for a week, you know?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's true. But, sometimes we talk about it. What do you want us to talk about behind there? And I'm talking Sam or the listener. What do you want from us?
I just want to talk about trains and Kerouac.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen with this first one. But actually, before we get to a proper cover, I didn't realize until I got quite into it that this first one, this is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life, sincerely. And I tested it on some friends earlier, and they were very upset at me for showing them. This is actually more of a parody than an actual. And this is to do with, I think people are a little mad at Jawbreaker about the reunion. I don't really have a dog in the fight, but it seems to some that maybe this is kind of a cash grab, and that includes Polythink. Is this person's name? Polythink has uploaded something called Polythink. Jawbreaker, Boxcar for the Bourgeoisie remix. I didn't go too deep into this one because I wanted to share it with you, but I'm told that there's quite a lot that happened that we should probably watch most of it. This is Polythink.
You told so wait, who so you've been told this is exciting.
Yeah, I share. So I'll let you know. So also it's worth noting Ivan wore a Machine Gun Kelly shirt to the Jawbreaker Dear You tour. So again, Ivan has kind of been credit where credit's due.
Living the pod.
Ivan's been living the Jawbreaker month of the pod for a long time. But I showed this to Ivan and Seamus today, and they were mortified and upset with me for finding this. And that's because it's
amazing.
A little something like this.
Riot Fest presents Jawbreaker. One night only for 1 million punk rock dollars at the Aragon. Securities kick ass. It's Boxcar for the bourgeoisie. You don't have to worry about those working class punks coming to the show. Because they can't afford 1 million punk rock dollars. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million fucking punk rock dollars to get in that show, cabron.
Oh my god. Scathing.
Got a friend, her name is Jenny. Wine and real estate deals in Wicker Park. Her hair was plain, now it's plain. She's a responsible person, she's good at business. You don't have to worry about those DIY kids coming to the show and slam dancing. Because they can't afford 1 million punk rock dollars. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 1 fucking million punk rock dollars, dude.
What? What's the conversion of USD to PRD?
It's Boxcar for the bourgeoisie.
I'm figuring that out right now.
It's Boxcar for the bourgeoisie. It's Boxcar for the bourgeoisie. It's Boxcar for the bourgeoisie. Culeros.
Wow.
It's Boxcar for the bourgeoisie.
I mean, he makes a great point. Okay, so what were the tickets to Riot Fest? So
Riot Fest Jawbreaker. So
when did they?
2018.
2000 and
Can you just get tickets to the one?
or no 2007 2017.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So 2017. So what did Riot Fest tickets cost in 2017? Riot
It's hard to
Fest
see the
tickets.
I can't figure out how much they costed.
Let's see. They hold on here. I go to buy tickets.
You can't buy
It's
them.
pretty hard to buy tickets to Riot Fest 2000 tickets cost. Okay, it looks like in 2017 you could get a single day ticket for $100 American dollars at the
that's
gate.
easy. Okay, so 100.
So 1 million. So hold on.
Because that let's assume that the cheapest version is the 1 million, because he mentioned 1 million, 2 million,
2
3
million,
million,
3
4.
million, 4 million. And so I
It's like
guess,
the count.
yeah, I guess.
So that's a 1-to-1. I just don't know the decimal. I'm too stupid for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, how many times does 100 go into a million? Is that 1,000 times?
I think
Is
it's more than that.
100 times?
Is it
What
100,000?
is 100 times 100,000? That looks like it equals 10 million. I can't tell.
Wait.
No. Okay.
1 million. That's 6 zeros divided by 100 equals 10,000. So that means
10,000.
One
American
punk rock
dollar.
No,
one
one
American
American
dollar
dollar.
equals 10,000 punk rock dollars.
So that's, I mean, that's not,
that's
interesting.
is that inflation? Is that because
that's
of
like when you
inflation
travel.
in the punk rock economy?
It's like when you travel and you feel so rich because you have like pesos or whatever. I mean,
right?
maybe that's
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
Maybe that's the wrong.
Maybe the
number.
punk rock dollar. Maybe the punk rock dollar is tied to like a different currency. Like it's tied to the peso.
Well, yeah.
Because what is 1 peso? What is peso to USD?
I mean, that's got to be one of the worst currencies I've ever seen. Punk rock dollars, 10,000. 10,000.
Yeah, it's not good. Because yeah, the 1 Mexican peso is the equivalent of about 5 cents American.
Okay.
So to
It's gonna be so much math. But yeah, shout out to Pauly Think for just making this video. It's really something. You know?
It's got me probably
Riot
thinking.
Fest presents Jawbreaker.
He really has
does he do a lot of...
the Andy Roy kind of delivery, or like just kind of like what happened to those kinds of guys who are like like kind of sneering Weasley type of guys. You don't really see a new one. You never go to a show and you're like, oh, there's a new version of like the sneering weasel sort of guy. Where did they go? They're not into punk anymore? Is it just too bourgeoisie now?
Yeah, it's true. Oh, Polythink did cover the Boat Dreams from the Hill. Did we watch this?
I don't think so. No.
And I've got a few, like a line through it, like maybe we watched it. We definitely watched
maybe
this.
we did then. Maybe we did. I don't know. I mean, we definitely can't be getting sidetracked, but thank you, Paulie. And so instead of starting with celebs, I thought we would start with the disgusting folk punk section. Instead, this is Boxcar.
Wow, you're a fucking dick, eh?
IYF mix Jawbreaker covers. Everything's its own word in this description for some reason.
I can see ahead. There's a lot of this, eh?
Oh, yeah. We're in for a real ride.
Jesus Christ, man. Wow, no, this is nice. I like this, actually.
They're kind of cooking.
Yeah.
I think I did these in the wrong order because this is a good one.
Yeah, there's a bit of like Polythink claps in there, but not really.
So, one thing we need to keep an eye out for is that really, really clever motherfuckers change the author name.
Oh, interesting. I know that's coming up in one of the prominent covers.
I think
some of the people that
I think there might be others, maybe not. Maybe, but it seems like, I mean, I would be like killing cops and reading Grisham. That would be funny. Okay, this next one I think will be nastier because the preview image doesn't even load, and the artist is called Suds McCruds.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Some nice buzzing chords.
Sudsy. It's sudsy.
You're the punk, and I'm
There we go.
everyone. Save your breath. I never was one. You don't know what I'm all about. Killing cops and reading Kerouac.
I feel like old heads would always complain that people would try to do like the nasally pop punk voice, but not enough people complain about doing the affectation of. It's so gross.
Passing all your rules. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's punk? What's the score?
Okay, thanks, Suds. I don't know who's punk. Hard to say. This next one's called Pretty Girls Make Raves, which is like two great references to me. Pretty Girls Make Graves, one of the great scene bands, White Belt era. And Pretty Girls Make Raves also, I believe, was a Kid 606 EP or something. So great references all around that are wasted on this nasty folk punk bullshit.
Oh, fuck, man.
You're not punk, and I'm telling everyone. Save your breath, I never was one. You don't know what I'm all about. Like killing cops and reading Kerouac.
This one is.
My enemies are
This one, it kind of rocks because it's like a purely. This is like a vibe-based cover, right?
It's
Where
true.
it's just smashing that fucking.
It's true. It kind of sounds like the Fabulous Stains or something. So it is cool.
Yeah, like
but-
whereas like Suds McCruds, I feel like is trying to do a thing. This is a person just doing a thing.
This one has
You
more
know?
like art school energy, but it's
Yeah,
still in a way where
exactly.
you're like, I definitely am not going to go to your student show, but God bless you. And also, that was 1 minute 55 seconds long. So,
Hell
that's
yeah, I loved.
embarrassing.
I you know what? that was good.
well, maybe you like this next folk punk one. I thought this one might be more the vibe of what we just listened to because it has like a deconstructed MS Paint version of the 24-hour revenge therapy cover. But instead, it's some bullshit folk punk, I think. And it's slowed down. Oh, wow.
Right, this is just what Guided by Voices sounds like. Right?
Yeah, it's true. But then, a lot of voice acting.
What is that? Because like in
We've been
the
talking
Fast
about this.
specific-
Where did it come from? Did it start with Jawbreaker? Did he invent it?
But it really, like, are these people ripping off Jawbreaker or are they ripping off Rancid? Like, you know what I mean? Are they doing this because they came to it through like?
I don't think anyone who likes Jawbreaker would admit to liking Rancid.
No, but like maybe that was still like an entry point for you, and therefore that is because I agree with you.
I think if you're trying to sound like a cool extreme sports older brother, then you do nasally voice. And if you're trying to sound really earnest and poetic, you do a grunty constipation voice.
But I feel like there's a difference. But there's a difference between the like I'm being so real grunt, which I associate with ripping off Hot Water, which is the like, and what you're describing, which is the there's like a and a and they're different. They come from different places in the soul.
That's true. That is true.
And one of them feels more like if you're entry point into the
maybe the higher voice, the higher pitched one is trying to be the other one, but it's like you can't fake it. You got to earn it. You know what I mean? You got to. I don't know. Maybe. Either way, I think the squeaky clean nasal voice is probably the one everyone should be aspiring to have. Not the grunter. Well.
They were less like when we would listen to like dozens and dozens of Blink songs, and you get a lot of like those voices. I miss them right now. Like, I miss them so badly.
Well, this next one.
I'll do anything for them.
This next one's called Team Shithead, and I was hoping it'd be some pop punk vibes, and I don't think it is folk punk bullshit. I think it's just folk bullshit. This is called Team Shithead. Great art, but.
The art does rule, and also Team Shithead is good.
It is a good name, and it kind of has like a northern exposure,
Blues
like
Traveler.
90s sitcom vibe, yeah. But then you can hear the vocals really well. Nice
I
arms.
like this.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's good.
What would be the author that you would say?
Ooh. What would I say?
Reading Nausgard. Reading Carl of
Hold on.
Nausgard.
Are you saying what other would I say if I was like young and trying to be cool, or what other would I say now to be honest or to be funny?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of an open. I mean, if you wanted to be popular nowadays, you'd say Tessa Moshfegh or something, or
I'm reading
Sheila Heti.
Yeah, who am I reading?
I'm reading the Giller Prize long list.
I'm constantly rereading the how to be anti-racist book.
The reading list. Yeah.
I'm reading
from the banned
infographics on Instagram about how to decolonize my mind. That's what I'm doing.
I would be like, and reading Sutherland, and it would mean either,
you could, yeah.
or it could be your sister. You know, I would never tell.
You would, yeah. That's you'd be like, it's a little clever. No, I think it might be like reading infographics, just more information at
the
once.
Bible. Up next is now we're through the first folk punk section, kind of. There's more to come in a way.
I'm worried, yeah.
But now we're going to get into the celeb zone. We're going to get into the known names who've covered it. And starting off is, of course, the biggest celeb in my books, Cornfan 420, currently known as Hot Leather. This is Clyde, friend of the show, Clyde. He covered it a long time ago. And I got to shout out 155 intern Rob for resurfacing this so that we could play it on the show. So this is pre-Hot Leather. This is Clyde covering Boxcar.
Great.
Nice chords, I think.
When you say pre-Hot Leather, I feel like this is like preschool.
Yeah, I know. It's really nice.
This is so
Hey,
sweet.
we could a Hot Leather like acoustic kind of twee EP could be really sick.
Yeah.
So that's Clyde.
Great job,
So
Clyde.
good. So sick. And like great bedroom cover vibes. I could hear some sort of weird flickering of a fan or something in the background. Or like a malfunctioning
Yeah, a lot of
lamp.
activity. Yeah.
It was perfect. Perfect bedroom. It would be so sick if someone had become famous just for being like a darkened bedroom cover artist. But, freaking TikTok and all that. It's
We've tried, man.
Well, speaking of covers, the AV Club, they had a thing, a cover. What was it called again? This covers thing that
Cover me, Chicago.
Cover me, Canada.
From our readers, the AV Club made another list of
Undercover.
25 songs, and we're inviting
Undercover.
fans into our office to cover them.
Honestly, this was like some early days of the internet shit. This was like a good.
It was fun. It was a good idea.
This was a good blog era, like beginning of digital video series idea.
Yeah.
It really was.
I think I'm gonna finally admit it. I don't really care for this band, the Mountain Goats. I don't really.
Oh, they got tunes.
I never really dug too deep, but it seems like the kind of thing that I should probably just avoid so that I don't. It's better if I've just.
It's
not really
very
heard it, so I don't
Christian.
hurt
It's
anyone's
very.
feelings. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but is it though? I mean, we'll see. I don't know. But
I
anyways,
don't know. I don't know how to judge that. I just know that he is, to use the parlance of the internet this last week, a month ago. He is your brother in Christ.
I thought you were gonna say, to use the parlance of the internet, you're gonna call him a Christo-fascist.
Yeah, I mean maybe. Yeah.
I mean, he has turned down the pod twice, so.
Yeah, that's well. To be honest, I actually don't know that he's turned it down. Just a very long silence. But we did try to get.
If he denies us
JD.
3 times, then I don't even remember that Bible thing.
Is that's a Bible thing, right?
They always went in this
What was
little
your
room.
relationship with the song? Do you feel a
Yeah,
connection with the
cute little
lyrics,
Chicago
or do you
room.
not have a sort of punk?
So I think the worst thing about a lot of these covers is people talking about it before they play it, which it seems to be one of
Yes.
the worst things about the band playing it too. So here's John. John, he seems like he would be like on the American Office. Like he should be like the guy in charge who fixes the photocopier or something.
Phase.
I mean, look,
He has a
you
very
always feel a
particular
connection with that
vibe,
sort of thing.
which I
because the
really
whole thing is
respect.
everybody feels beleaguered
Like there's
at some point.
never
I mean,
been
that's-
any
He does-
attempt
he
by
seem-
him to be cool.
Yeah, he seems like a Michael Schur version of Phil Elverum to me. Or like he's like it's like smart indie music, but
yeah.
like the Michael Schur like Parks and Rec version of it. But you know what? Maybe if he had come on the pod, I wouldn't be saying my
we could have
opinion.
been, because here's the thing, he is such a, because I agree with you, he does seem like that, but then you're like, this is also a man who like is devoutly Christian, but also like addicted to heroin, like a real proper like serious metalhead, but then also is just like this guy. Like I think he's maybe too like and a really really fantastic writer, and therefore maybe like too busy being like actually interesting to do anything about his glasses or whatever. I mean now
it is the glasses and the
the
t-shirt
glasses
and
are big.
blazer are not Alpes.
yeah.
of punk is that you are going to feel in whatever role you're living, like everybody is against you at some point, and that people are accusing you of things that are not true. At the same time, it's like, I don't.
So you are. I thought you were
I
going to
don't think I
not
feel as
make us
beleaguered as
watch
the
this
authors
part.
of
but
Oh,
you
no,
are.
I'm saying
Like, if
these are
somebody
gonna
doesn't
be
like
the
what
star
I do
of the
later on
show.
down the line. That's fine. That's
Oh,
fine.
I
Still
see.
listen to you. So
This is
so
your
I don't,
punishment for all
but at the same
of
time,
this.
yeah, everybody's got to relate to that sort of feeling once in a while.
Is this going to make you go back and explore the Jawbreaker catalog?
Yeah, our next album, Dear You, is going to be a whole thing.
So he does the most
yeah.
egregious author change.
It is bad.
It's so fucked. Whoa, he like storms in.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. But they shouldn't have shown him standing there.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to do like the punk where he like walked on kind of punk. He's pointing, here we go. Like watching cops and reading Didion. Yeah.
So he doesn't want to admit he's pro cop enough to not be to say killing cops, and then
Well, I can't tell. Is he hedging and being pro cop, or is he making fun of the fact that like listen to them? He's not going to even do the killing cops joke, but instead implying that he simply watches the television show.
The killing cops thing is not a joke. I don't care how much you like Jawbreaker. The killing cops and reading Kerouac is like an aspirational line of what is cool. And I think it's half right. And I won't say which half.
You won't say which half, but long-time listeners will know.
All too familiar. They're the ones who used to call
Changing it to Didion is fun.
Sure, Didion is so sick, but like, maybe don't. It's a little bit.
You know, something that's always.
It's a little bit. This is what a feminist looks like to be like. To say that.
John Worster, obviously, you know, great drummer, funny podcast man. He's the only drummer of any band like you know what I mean? Like
if you're like
he
you're
that
40
plays
plus and you're like a sardonic, somewhat loosely punkish guy. Like I think he was drumming for Bob Mould when Bob Mould played at Sled, and I was like,
that's his.
I hated it so much. It was so bad. It was so
insane.
old. There was such old.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, but it was definitely like being at the shoe to see Bob Mould is like the baldest I've ever seen a horseshoe. Like it like to a degree that was like not even like I'm riffing. Like it was genuinely funny. But you're wrong. I mean, every time I see Bob Mould, it's been like fucking perfect. But like he plays. Oh my god, now I can't even think of it. Like traditional grip, right? The fucking jazz grip, and it's just so strange.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's so strange.
Yeah, it's very. How is he not like? How is it Fred Armisen and Marnie Stern as Seth Meyers like indie 40-year-old backing band and not this? I guess because of the Best Show, which like I feel like probably I don't know. Again, you know how you said earlier that you thought that I would write this song or I would like this song. It's like I feel like the Best Show is like some shit that we should be more into or into. But it's like I don't know. Who has the time? Power pop, pop. Okay, that was funny. I guess when I heard that.
I just like Superchunk. That's it.
Well, I like the Ataris. No, I don't really.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Here's the Ataris playing it at the Vans Warped Tour. I don't know. Is there a studio version of this? This is the one I.
There is. This was on an album for them. Because if I'm being totally honest, I do think that I probably heard the Ataris version of this first.
Yes.
Which like and we already did this month. Where like with Kiss the Bottle, I heard Lucille first. But that's because like the fact of the matter is, you don't go straight to the fucking.
It's because you're not
the pin. I know. That's it. But it's
I'm
like
noticing.
I'm sorry. I listened to the Ataris before. I crawled before I walked. And I'm not ashamed of that.
I would love to have this banner from the Warped Tour on the top left that says "Only dumb people crowd surf." That's so lame. Fucking narc. Anyways, if we
it was on. So this was on Anywhere But Here, which was the first Atari's album.
But if we
definitely knew this.
If we listened to the studio recording, we wouldn't get to hear what this fella has to say about the song, which I haven't heard yet. But I think this is a part of it now.
All right, it's a longer set. It's 30. It's some days 25, some days it's 30. So I guess we can play more than what we thought we had. So we're gonna do.
Well, that's interesting.
You guys have something you want to hear?
That's an interesting.
I'm gonna pick it.
I know it's hot out.
Like the band Jawbreaker?
No, he was saying the set time was 5 minutes longer than they thought it was. I thought it was degrees at first, but it was. But what I love about this video is you never see a security guard like rocking, but this guy on the right, he's like loving it.
He loves it.
He starts like grinning and like he loves this song. It's like he's like hell yeah.
But like
he doesn't care about whether. He doesn't care about how sardonic or not it is. He just loves to tap his toes.
It's a bop. But like, for real though, this Chris Rowe fit is the cargo shorts and the sandals.
God. Like I know I've softened to shorts on stage, but folks, if you were seeing what we're seeing right now, this is mortifying. This looks like someone let their papa up on stage to play.
The sandals. I don't know. Like I get that it's hot. Like it's probably really fucking hot up on stage. But like, just put on. I'm not because it's like shorts fine. But put on a shoe. Put on a shoe. Please.
I mean that length of short though. I mean, go a little bit longer then and do some like thirsty shit, or go shorter. That's the. It's just unacceptable.
Just right below the knee. Just right below the knee. This is amongst the most sinister looks I've ever seen in my life.
But at least the security guard was loving it. I mean, he doesn't know.
I like the security guards.
He doesn't give
Security
a shit
guard's a
about
highlight.
Yeah, he's just tapping his toes. And I also kind of like the guy who's just like squatting, sipping a red cup in plain view of everything behind.
Just having a chill.
So I've never heard of the band. I've heard of, but never heard the band Bayside. What's that band? Do you know?
No, they're like a pop punk band that I also don't know.
Are they Canadian?
No, I think they're popular though. Like I feel like Bayside was just like one of those bands that like missed
they're
people
from
like
Bayside, Queens neighborhood. They're on Victory.
Oh.
They're
that's
from
it.
the
They
year
were popular.
2000.
They were like a thing.
Well, but are they? What are they like? Hawthorne Heights or something? Is it that kind of
I
music?
think Hawthorne Heights is quite popular. No, I think
No,
they,
like,
they were
what's
just like
that?
a pop punk band. They were pop punk. They were
they weren't
sort of like
okay.
Lookout Records pop punk in my mind, or like Fearless Records.
Oh, Fearless.
Pop punk. I
Okay,
don't know.
that makes sense.
Yeah, not Lookout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the guy from Anthony Ranieri covered it, and he has some shit to say about it.
It's really cool. It's about the scene, which is awesome.
It's like you're doing this multi-layered metatextual read of like where the irony is and where the sincerity is, and then this fucking guy is like, it's about the scene, which is awesome.
You're not punk, and I'm telling everyone, save your breath, I never was one. You don't know what I'm all about, like killing cops and reading Kerouac. My enemies are all too familiar.
No one there cares.
They're
He
the
says
ones
familiar.
that used to call me friend.
Yeah, I feel like Bayside is not the kind of band where people know about Jawbreaker, do they?
Yeah, I feel like they were like a very all-pressy pop punk band.
The rules. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's punk? What's the score?
It's about the scene. It's awesome.
It's about the scene. It's awesome. That should be the tagline for 155.
That's
155.
true.
It's about the scene.
I have a hot take about the scene.
The scene.
Go
for it.
I'm not saying it right now. We don't have time, and I'm not ready to say it out loud. I've been working on it for a long time. And
Okay.
takes don't. I don't know if takes are really belong on the pod anymore. But I've really been kind of piecing it all together in my brain.
Maybe that can be our exclusive next month. Is,
exactly.
You can reveal your thoughts on the scene.
So, speaking of, well, I don't know if these guys are scenesters. They're more OG skate punk guys. This is Joey Cape and Tony Sly in München covering it together. I mean, it's just a lot of pop punk guys like to do acoustic versions of it for some reason.
Look at how tiny Joey Cape looks.
Yeah, the guitar looks so big.
Well, they have a guy who just popped up to do harmony.
Very Bare Naked Ladies vibes with that guy, with the harm guy.
Yeah. Like, that guitar is as tall as him. I've met Joey Cape. I don't think he's that small.
Maybe he's just playing a giant novelty guitar.
Yeah, like, is he playing an acoustic bass or something, you know?
Oh, here we go. Some keys and some
wow.
shakers. All right. I mean, that was kind of cute, but
yeah,
whatever. Do your thing. This next one, I don't know who all these people are, but it's the guy from Thrice, Dustin Kensrue.
And well, Matt Pryor. So this is Matt Pryor from the Get Up Kids, Dustin Kensrue from Thrice, Anthony Ranieri, who I now know is from Bayside, and Chris Connolly, who's from Saves the Day.
Wow, it's a super group of.
It's a murderer's row of.
It's like a pile of American Eagle Outfitters shirts come to life. I mean, people love this song, eh?
Yeah.
I'm not must be pretty fun.
At least they're trying. They're doing some harm. This is nice.
That's kind of fun. Okay, and then this.
Okay.
This is the final.
fucking-
This is Toronto, Canada, 2021. Is I think the location and the setting, not the
Yeah,
name
the
of-
date line.
not the name of the artist. This is another murderer's row. This one is kind of a disaster mix of people. This is Mikey and his uke teaming up with Jason from None More Black and Kid Dynamite, Andrew from Against Me, Gwendolyn Giles from Dog Party, Ricky Fitness from the Aquabats, and Mikey Hawdon from Fairmounts. So, great. I've always wanted to hear all those people together covering a song.
Yeah, it's surreal. This is like, did you program this?
Covering this song built around a YouTube channel. It's kind of my dream.
This
scenario.
is, yeah. Like, this seems, I don't know, I'm kind of suspect that you're not involved in this somehow.
Do you think that maybe in some sort of butterfly effect way that something like this we did have some probably something to do with us touched it in some sense maybe?
I hope so. Yeah, I do. I do think that.
Ones that used to call me friend. I'm coloring outside your guidelines. I was passing out when you were passing out your rules. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's punk? What's the score?
Oh, there's a little tease I see.
I guess so. At least it's not uke the whole time.
No, so is this a...
You're not punk, and I'm telling everyone, save your breath, I never was one. You don't know
That None More Black guy really.
killing cops and reading Kerouac. My enemies
He's still doing the gruntiness better than like the.
Because I think it's his actual voice.
Yeah, it's kind of lived in.
Yeah.
He's got a lived in grunt.
But I will say I don't know that I want to, because he's singing kind of really close to the...
What's the score?
Like put the lyrics
right
there.
into the camera, and it's like too much for sure.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, to be clear, I think in general it's all just a little bit too much of everything. To have all these people doing this, but you know what? God bless them for trying. And so since that was a uke one, I thought maybe we could check out a couple ukes real quick.
Fucking Christ!
This is some sort of scene type of person from 11 years ago. This is a uke cover. Lots of like shy. You know how people do smizing? I think this person was shizing at the start. This is Shelby. This was just random and for fun. It's not very good, but I love Jawbreaker. 3 is the emoji on here, so that's kind of a ooh maybe.
Did you say it was like in the description? It says it's random.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like look at the sort of skunk hat or whatever.
Yeah, this is all very random. But I also like it.
Yeah, it's not that bad actually.
1, 2, 3, 4. Who's punk? What's the score?
But maybe you'd prefer if it was a man in a trucker hat.
Oh, fucking shit.
This is dear
Sounds like
you.
a CGI man. With a like Pixar's Uke Man.
You could do the DreamWorks face so good. Can you imagine?
You're not punk.
How about tune your fucking uke next time, bro?
Save your breath. I never was one. You don't know what I'm all about.
Why is he like
killing cops and reading Kerouac?
I think he's reading the lyrics, but it's like very unnerving. He won't.
Yeah.
They're the ones who used to call me friend.
This is all.
It's so scary.
How big is it?
I actually
How big is
regret
his
making
hat?
fun of this guy because I think he's going to
Look
kill
how
me.
big that hat is.
Passing out your rules.
The image on that hat is huge. That's like a t-shirt sized patch on a hat.
For who's punk? What's the score?
Well, I mean, maybe this one is a little bit too kind of jaunty and Pixar-esque, as you rightly pointed out. And I think maybe
Purely from a face standpoint, he's got Pixar human face.
Well, Jawbreaker is kind of at the end of the day more of an emo band, so maybe you'd like a uke better if it was done by somebody who calls themselves Sad Twee Fucker. on YouTube.
Christ, man.
Sad Twee Fucker presents a terrible cover of Boxcar.
So we've got someone in a
very messy room.
Yeah, and like a cat, like a sort of cat shirt that I think is supposed to look ironic, but does just look pretty lived in. You know?
It does. I'm not punk, and I'm telling everyone the internet is forever. My webcam sound quality is awful, and I didn't shower today. I mean, that tracks.
I believe all of it.
I think the webcam is actually giving it a nice. It almost sounds like a harmonica.
I like this rhythm of it though.
Yeah, it's interesting.
1, 2, 3, 4. Who's punk? What's the score?
I did like that better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's so fucking many.
Well, maybe the real issue is that it's to do a kind of a stripped down version is not as good if it's on a uke. Maybe the humble banjo, and maybe the type of person who knows how to play the humble banjo, what they have to say as the intro would help. So this is somebody doing 100 days.
So I am not sitting in a chair, and I'm not standing up, and that's because I am going to be doing a sort of toned down campfire version of a punk song, one of my favorites, in fact. And along with being toned down musically, it's going to be toned down a little lyrically because I like the song, but it's a little on the intense side for me on that front. This is Jawbreaker's Boxcar. 1, 2, 3, 4.
What's counting?
Why does he talk like that also? He kind of talks like Paul Dano or something.
You're not punk, and I'm telling you.
Yeah, it definitely is very Dano-esque. Okay, let's see.
He copies the Mountain Goats lyrics.
Like watching cops and reading Gideon, my
Wait, reading Gideon? Gideon Bible?
Biblical shit?
Maybe like the Gideon Bible that's in your hotel? Or maybe he doesn't know who Joan Didion is. Despite being like sort of a doff my cap to you. Well, yeah, I guess that would make sense.
That does kind of make sense.
Maybe he thought that the Mountain Goats guy said Gideon, or maybe he's referencing Gideon Bible.
What's the score?
Hard to say for sure with this guy.
Yeah, so...
What does his shirt say?
It says stop something, and then it has a bike. Maybe he's against bike lanes. Maybe that's what I
Stop bike lanes. More cars.
Okay, up next is a cello cover. I think this one's a little bit better. It's kind of a respite for you.
Thank you.
1 minute 55. Yeah, this one's sick. This is Gordon Withers. We've seen him before.
Yeah. Beautiful shock of white hair. Yeah, this is good.
It's a nice melody for sure. And I mean,
see, you love it. You love it.
I love the song. What can I say?
You love the jokes.
I love Kerouac and watching cops and Gideon.
Yeah, I love Gideon. Gideon is one of the maybe Gideon is sort of one of the characters in the Hold Steady universe, so maybe it's a bit of a crossover.
It'd be dope to be a performative feminist and just go off of having seen the Gideon doc on Netflix. That's all you probably need to get by.
That's enough. I mean, you don't need to read. No one's quizzing you. What happens on page 23 of Slouching Towards Bethlehem?
You're not supposed to be naming 5 songs from your shirt, so that you should be allowed to say you're a Gideon head without reading it if you've seen the doc.
It's true. Yeah, I haven't even seen. I'm just going to start saying that I am.
So there is a lot of like YouTuber Jawbreaker stuff around this, like this cello guy. This one I thought was annoying but also good, which kind of the pod in a nutshell. This is the inappropriate drummer. He does metal drumming on top of the song instead of doing the appropriate kind of.
That doesn't sound appropriate.
Yeah, it's very inappropriate. But also he like for naming his whole channel after it, he barely does too much metal stuff. It's only like sometimes.
Okay.
There's like a little bit of blast beats on one part. But then he still goes back to the... double kick.
Okay.
So stupid.
That's good. I do like that he's wearing a crane shirt.
I don't know. It's just some guy. He's having
Yeah,
fun.
right, that's cool. I like him.
Okay. Well.
Not very appropriate though, I gotta say.
Yeah, very inappropriate.
That's my one complaint.
I don't actually remember what this one is, but I think it's good. Oh yeah, this is just an acoustic one. Great graphics over top.
Yeah.
What does this sound like?
You're not punk, and I'm telling everyone. Save your breath on
It's like a Presidents of the United States ass type of song.
Yeah.
Or like, kind of sounds like Tenacious D.
Yeah, like this version of it, you mean?
All too familiar. They're the ones
Yeah, it could be this is some Kyle guitar energy.
This is called Three Better Than None.
coloring outside the guidelines.
This one's kind of fine though. I don't know. He's giving it some 90s vibes.
1, 2, 3, 4. Who's punk? What's the score?
I like him.
That
seems like a nice
that
guy.
chorus is so awful. I hate it so much. Well, I'm going to show you a couple bands playing it. This is a band called
Oh,
Pulcher.
thank you.
This one I think is kind of cool. Also kind of like weird 90s vibes. There you can't really...
I feel like that's the kind of the Dear You guitar in the background.
They're like almost doing Green Day impression.
Yeah.
Or maybe like Australian. It sounds like a AI.
Where are they? Where is Pulcher from?
I don't know.
It feels very Scandinavian.
I mean, sometimes we see so many dog shit ones in a row that just hearing something that approximates a band sounds good, you know?
Yeah.
So that was cool, though. Pulcher. It's fun to say. Pulcher.
Pulcher. Pulcher.
You know what else
Pulcher.
is fun to say? Spite Mouse with an exclamation mark is the name of this band.
Ooh.
And it's all one word. And my God, these freshly cut mohawks on these two singers.
And this song
Yes.
is called Boxcar.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is Spite Mouse from the Bay Area. I mean, I don't know how to describe these mohawks without being he kind of the one guy looks like the Shock Top beer orange slice.
Oh yeah.
guy.
I feel like I'm about to have like a terrible wheat beer.
It also kind of feels like they're doing karaoke, except that they've got fresh mohawks just for the night. And also the guy on the right has like I'm sure he looks like he's like probably the greatest guy you've ever hung out with, but like he should be working on building a deck right now or something. Like he has like the most like buttoned up normie energy.
Why does this band have two singers?
Are they father and son maybe?
Oh, maybe.
Because like the drummer and bass player are pretty old, and that I think that might be his son.
And I feel like the singer keeps like mouthing the words to the other singer.
Well, because the other singer is also struggling with the key a little bit.
Well, this is with a guest vocalist.
Oh wow. Well, yeah, so that's Spite Mouse. I mean, check them out because it's worth seeing these mohawks, I think, in case I forget to post them. Spite Mouse.
Spite Mouse! Exclamation point.
Now, here's something that's pretty cool. There's actually a cover of the song from 1996 that I found. So this is at Oberlin
that actually is cool.
In 1996. And it's sick. Like, I didn't even know they did covers back then.
Yeah, they invented covers. I mean, this is fucking awesome.
I don't know what the band's called, but yeah, it's so sick. There's like so many tapestries behind the amp in some sort of student union. They're cooking way more than Jawbreaker.
Yeah, like there's energy to this. This is awesome. This is at Harkness in Oberlin. Me, Pat, and Mike. I don't know if there was a band name.
Yeah, I don't think they had one. They're just. Well, I think they're filming a TV VHS. I just realized.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
The guitar player rips.
Yeah,
this is great.
So good. That's so
that
cool.
was awesome.
So, flash forward 12 years later.
Okay.
We've got Andy and the Armstrongs live at JCC. This is a Jawbreaker cover of Boxcar from 2008. Now, this one sounds so shitty, and everyone's wearing Jinkos, and it's incredible. I love it so much.
Oh, wow. Look at these jeans.
I think it just sounds like Sun O. It's so sick. Like, in 2008, people didn't wear jeans like that. Did they? Like, this is just some kind of, like, extremely bad vibe outfit for 2008. Oh. It's so blown up. How did they even get it to sound like this? They put, like, a contact mic inside the bass amp?
Wow.
You can kind of hear this.
They use, like, a lot of different plugins to get this sound.
It's true. I also think they're playing in, like, an actual lecture hall or something.
Yeah.
And that amp, how it's, like, painted, like, it's such Breaking Bad energy coming from that guy.
This is definitely live from Albuquerque.
I'm trying to find the... Have they said 1, 2, 3, 4 yet?
They must have. Yeah. Oh, it's gotta be... Here it is. That was it.
And then it... So that's Andy and the Armstrongs. Yes. One of the sickest bands of all time. I mean, if it always had this blown out Jinko noise rock energy, I might be more into it.
Well, it says they got paid $250 for that show in the description.
Oh yeah. There's some math in there, right? They said, they got paid $250. What is that hourly or something?
Yeah, and they played for 12 minutes. Yeah, that's
so
a
12
real...
minutes. So how many times does 12 go into 60?
Now, would you prefer to have been paid in punk rock dollars?
Yeah, well, okay, $60 divided by... 60 minutes divided by 12 is 5. So that means... Wait, what am I doing here? 12 minutes. So is that $5 a minute? I'm so bad at math.
I just gave up.
Yeah, punk rock. I mean, there's a lot of math. There's a lot of different threads being... As each thread is tied, another is unfurled this week. So up next, this is a really cool one. I deleted a few more. There's so many acoustic ones, but I think you've gotten the point. But this is a really special acoustic one. This is from our friend. He's not a friend. I don't know who this is at all. But a whole lot of music. This was uploaded in May of this year. Boxcar by Jawbreaker, but it's acoustic. Classic sort of YouTube title. Whole lot of music. joined in April.
Maybe that's how people search. Do you think that's the way that a lot of people search on YouTube?
Oh, yeah,
They're
like,
I want to hear the song, but it speeds up every time he says something about punk.
We should do that. Could be exclusive. Like just search "but it's" and see what we find.
No.
So this is a whole lot of music. 8 subscribers. This is 19 views. And so this is like clearly just like a kid, dog hair all over his Adidas tracky bottoms. It's a real tracky bottom centered shot on the couch. You can kind of see a vase in the background and a throw. But I think he's just learning guitar, and he thought he was so excited about the "but it's acoustic," and it's great. So this is what it would sound like if it was acoustic. Sounds so cool.
I never have to imagine it again.
That like all those accidents made it sound so sick. That like
now I know what
like,
it would sound like if it was acoustic.
You do think you know. So that was what did I say? May. That was May 2022. May 15th, 2022. Obviously a little bit slops. Well, May 26th, 2022. Same user. 11 days later. Jawbreaker Boxcar Part 2. Check out this improvement.
Wow! Practice does make perfect. Such confidence.
Playing it better than the band nowadays.
That's true.
So sick. Same couch too.
That's awesome.
So
I hope you have this
real
guy.
life progress. Yeah. So we're down to the last couple. This one's 1 minute 55.
I never
long
thought we'd
as
get
well.
here.
I was the leading on the flag because I was also. This is Andy's oldies, the retired Quebec man who lives in I think Thailand. Andy Gibon.
Yeah, you gotta see this. You gotta share this on Twitter. Go to our social. This guy rocks.
Yeah, he's so good. I'll do a thread with some of the covers this week. I think it calls for it.
This makes me feel like he knows this. Last one I wasn't sure if he knew the song.
Maybe he listens to them first once. He's done like actually thousands of songs. He covered cigarettes after sex.
What the score?
Yeah, I love that. Who's fun? What's the score? That's great.
What's the score?
He sounds French Canadian, which is not what I think, but there's something to his delivery this time that feels very very French Canadian. Oh my God, yeah, he's French Canadian. He's from Montreal.
He is. I feel like he does a lot. He'll like based on his shirts, he'll do literally like 50 in one sitting.
What a way to pass the time.
He's so cool. Andy's oldies.
Andy. Thank you, Andy.
Andy, you fucking rule.
What the score?
Yes.
So that's
punk. Where's this good?
But you know,
punk
is obviously it is for old people, and as you mentioned, there's a lot of baldies out there. But you know, it's also for the kids.
A lot of baldies out there in these streets.
It's also for the kids, and the kids, you know, maybe they have a punk dad or something. This one is kind of incredible. This is uploaded by the Ottoman 2010. It just says Father's Day 2017. Okay, so that's all we know. This is a Father's Day gift, probably. A nice shortened version. Cool, let's go.
You're not punk, and I'm telling everyone, save your breath. Never was one. My enemies are all too familiar. They're the ones who used to call me friend.
These kids are
So the
having a
video is
lightsaber
like two
battle.
kids just having a
Coloring
lightsaber.
outside my guidelines.
And now he's drawing on
passing out.
Defacing the $100 bill. So much money this week. A nice high-pitched,
1, 2,
high-gain
3, 4,
screech from a
whose
child.
Punk was the score.
It's so good.
Oh.
Do you think that if you're a parent, you have to like pretend to understand what your children's sketches, what's going on in them when they make you like a video.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I get it.
Oh,
that
the
made so much
narrative.
sense.
Yeah, I understand the narrative of this. You did the lightsaber.
Yeah, you
and
definitely have to
colored on
pretend to
the
understand
money.
Yeah, your children's narratives. That's a big one.
So, I mean, that one was adorable, but I don't know if it was very good. And I feel like most of these have been among the worst things we've ever listened to together, you and I. So I thought I would close out Jawbreaker with just one good one that I found, if I may. I think we've earned it.
Wow, I think, yeah, one good one would be nice.
This is the French artist Opal Sword with a cover from a compilation called Sick Sad World. That was a whole bunch of COVID-19 covers, and this was so sick.
I'm telling everyone, save your breast. I never was one. You don't know what it's all about. I gang cops and red and Kerouac. My enemies are all too familiar. You're the one you used to call my friend. I'm coloring outside your gathering. I wasn't passing out when you were passing out. You're good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's punk? What the score? Yeah, 1, yeah.
I mean, this one is almost. I think it saves it, really.
This is redemptive.
So I feel like we could do our final thoughts over the latter half of Opal Sword. I mean, look. Unfortunately, I have not grown in any way as a person. I've been more annoying than ever. I have felt completely vindicated in all of my knee-jerk opinions. And I've had a great time in doing so. So once again, the real winner this month is the pod. Whether or not anyone is still listening, I'm having a great time in this niche grave that I've dug for both of us.
Is there room for two in that grave, Josiah?
That was all my good material.
He's already said all the good stuff. We've got a friend. I honestly think friend of the show, at least a fond mutual of mine, Zachary Lipez, the editor at large of the newly revamped Cream magazine, is here once again. Now, Zach, you've not been on the show since we were Blink 155. I just want to still, all these years later, thank you again for listening to On Some Emo Shit for us all those years ago, because I feel like that was probably, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and guess that was one of the tougher listens for you, one of the tougher hangs.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't easy, but it made me a better person, you know. I'm actually for Cream. I'm writing something about one of your country people, Mac DeMarco, and it's so hard. It's so difficult. Like it's in a really soul crushing way. So yeah, no.
I mean, that's what I'm attracted to about talking to you, because you still get that feeling. And I've been spending our Jawbreaker month, which Sam has been trying to make Junebreaker a thing. I'm slowly giving in. I mean, I don't think that's enough of a pun, really, but I give up. You know, what else are we going to do? But I've been spending this whole time talking about my sincere love, and it's been years in the making, so it's taken a while for it to become sincere, but it is a sincere love of Machine Gun Kelly's pop punk music that he's making now. And so for me, like that feeling of
fucking idiot,
that feeling of being like so grossed out and upset by something, I remember it from like, my teen years, but it's something that maybe I need to reawaken that part of myself, or maybe I don't know. What do you think?
It's, I do try to balance, I feel like certainly as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at doing like understanding, at least on an intellectual level, taste doesn't matter. Like it does, it really is subjective, and that there's nothing, just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's evil. And I believe, and I believe all that. And I think that there's so many people with absolutely abhorrent, traits and politics with really good taste in music that all of that sort of like canard should have died a long time ago. Having said that, I can intellectually know that all I want, but I think if you're going to write about music or even care about music, then you should still have some part of you, some like adolescent part of you that still really believes that that any of this might matter.
Right.
So and I mean, I think that's also part of the fun of it too. I mean, I think it's also why friends can, it wouldn't even be a fun bar argument if both people were just like, well, we know that this is just like our synapses, like weird stuff, and so I think you should try to have a balance so that you can get really heated and really believe what you're saying, but then also be like, oh yeah, this doesn't matter, and this does not reflect poorly on someone for liking or not liking something.
That's kind of a good segue into the song Boxcar by Jawbreaker, because I feel like it's been so long in my life that since I've had kind of a dog in the fight of the debate of what it means to sell out or whether it's even a thing or not, or all that kind of stuff. And this song is like, in that sense, it feels so dated, but it also feels so familiar to me of like, I guess, I've just talked to Sam about this song for hours, and he loves Jawbreaker, and he's gleeful at all of the kind of beatnik type references and how it's literary and all that kind of shit. I don't like any of that. Like, for me, to preface this, you've written an incredible essay. Once again, I mean, that's an evergreen statement. But for your Abundant Living Substack, a couple years ago, you wrote "Bad Scene, Jawbreaker's Fault." It kind of like very intelligently sums up, I think, the debate we've been having all month very stupidly. We've been having it stupidly, and I've been talking about MGK the whole time.
It's a fun debate.
It is. You really summed it up well, and kind of, I guess what I'm trying to get at to start off with is like, I just don't understand what is the argument of the song Boxcar. I understand that the first sentence is a joke, and I do think it's a funny joke. But then when they say killing cops and reading Kerouac, is that? Because Sam's being so generous, he thinks that that's a joke too, that they're making fun of themselves with that. But I'm getting lost about how many layers of irony are in this song.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I should say, though, that, and I appreciate the kind words, I did move my newsletter from Substack to Ghost.
Okay.
So people, no one can find it. And I won't get into all the reasons why I left Substack, but I did.
Not giving Glenn Greenwald enough money is what I think I saw you tweet that. You said that.
I don't like sharing money with Glenn Greenwald. Weirdly, he was seeing a bit more of it than I was.
Right.
Morals aside, I just didn't like that.
Yeah, it's not the Greenwald, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, no, with the I mean, Boxcar's for such a dumb song, it's still, every time I listen to it, I still love it, even though, in a lot of ways I'm certainly not the Jawbreaker fan I was when I was younger, but and I think a lot, like, there's a number of their songs that just don't do anything for me anymore, but Boxcar I still like, just musically, like I still get the song stuck in my head, so I think that should be and the thing is with, like, yeah, I mean, there is that first line is practically a meme at this point, and I touch on this in my essay, but I also I probably touch on this in every essay. Just that line of itself, even outside of music, has really become a way of justifying a certain kind of existence for a certain type of person for 2 decades, where every, like, it's basically like there's no ethical consumption under capitalism for, like, dudes with against me tattoos. You know, though they also they like that. They like the first one too. But and I think that certainly I can be that person too. So it's, you know, we smell our own, you know, but it's yeah. I mean, I don't think they're not kidding. Kidding is maybe the wrong word, because, you know, one thing that Jawbreaker did was they really sort of gave permission to Against Me, Blood Brothers, Fall Out Boy, all of those bands to sort of like obsessively navel gaze about their own fan base.
Right.
You know, which is really just an updating of, you know, Grand Funk Railroad's American band, you know, like, but instead of like banging out groupies, they're talking about like getting yelled at online. And, but it's still their fans. And,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, so they're not, Jawbreaker is one of those weird bands where there's lots of puns and there's lots of like plays on words and, you know, ostensibly jokes, but they're not like a band, and yet with it all, it's all sort of delivered without any real sense of humor.
Yeah, that's true. As you were talking, I was kind of thinking like it's like, maybe that's why it doesn't resonate with me, because it's not like Mad Magazine satire. It's like McSweeney's satire, but like boring to me. I don't know.
Sure, and it's, I think it's one of the things that I will both make fun of and I sort of like about it too. I mean, I think their lyrics and the way they do it, it comes from a real sense of grievance, you know, all the time, and you know, whether it's about, you know, their fans or their ex-girl, basically anybody that cares about them is on their enemy list.
That's kind of classic.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also describing my relationship with this podcast and the listeners. So I think that is very relatable. I guess I went into this month like having heard, you know, a couple Jawbreaker songs and really wanting to like, finally, now that I'm old and I don't have a dog in the fight anymore, I'm just chilling, goofing around on my podcast, I was ready to like really give it an honest listen. And I guess I thought that it was going to be a lot smarter than it was too, lyrically. And it is just
you
like,
want it to be though? I don't
know. I think I like literally had like sleepless nights being like, he's just saying that he wants to be about, like, it's just like, he just literally wants to be about. And I feel like I couldn't like wrap my head around how smart or not smart, or like, is it like that thing that people have been complaining about lately, how an English teacher will be like, yes, his shirt was green, which represents his envy of his mother, and you're like over analyzing it, and that's why maybe he does just want to be about so badly. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just too stupid for it, or maybe I can't tell if I'm too stupid or too smart is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I usually, given a choice between whether I'm too stupid or too smart for something, I usually assume, I usually err on the side of the artist, you know?
Right.
You live your life how you want, but but I mean, the thing is, like, it's tough because I do, as much as I constantly make jokes about them, I do like their lyrics, and I like, because I mean, I don't want to turn this into a whole thing of just like me hyperventilating about what a complete son of a bitch you are for liking Machine Gun Kelly or Blink-182,
right.
You know, but
please, that's why you're here.
I mean, I do think that, like, you know, people are fucking smart, you know, people are thoughtful, people, you know, feel a million different ways about a singular experience. And something like Jawbreaker, I think is a more accurate, representation of like human interaction and like romance than this stuff that's really just, aimed purely at the lizard brain of a 12-year-old. Right. And I think that, and again, that shit can work, I like a lot of that stuff, but it's not what I look for in like pop punk. I like it in, some heavy metal, some dance music and stuff like that. Like I definitely want, a sledgehammer, but for pop punk, I mean, without getting into his crapulence as a person, Screeching Weasel lyrics before he became, a total reactionary were great. They were fantastic. They were delivered in a, Ramones pastiche, snotty vocals. They were far closer to Blink-182 than Jawbreaker is. So I think that it's not even so much that I think that everybody I'm not asking for people to be the fucking Decemberists, but I think if you're writing lyrics and if you're singing, I'd rather you try to be smarter than you are and maybe fail than just be as dumb as humanly possible and assume your audience is the same. No offense.
No, that's fair. I think for me, it's like I've always appreciated either the really, really highbrow or the really lowbrow. But this feels sometimes Jawbreaker, things of that ilk feel to me more like, I'm doing air quotes for those listening, but prestige TV versus like, difficult films or difficult television. And actually, this reminds me of, I don't want to date our conversation, but today you did a tweet that had me thinking a lot as I was going to the grocery store about, there's this debate on Twitter right now about how like people are saying, film bros don't actually exist. And you're like, well, actually, I've had to serve these people for many years. And it got me thinking about how like culture is being flattened in a way where the discourse on Twitter about like whether or not film bros exist or like debating Marvel versus, real films, which is usually just whatever A24 put out, all that kind of shit. Like 75% of these people are wearing sleeveless Under Armour shirts and they're talking about like culture. And so it's kind of like changing in a way where it's all being flattened. And I think that's really interesting, but it's also like, I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe one of the reasons I don't like Jawbreaker is because of the fans and the things that they've spun out, which is also something highlighted very well in your essay.
Well, do you like something like I don't even know if I can say their name right. Like, do you like a band like the Messengers? Is that how you say it? The Messengers?
No, I can't stand that.
Okay, all right. Well, then that's consistent at least. I mean, that's because I mean, one thing that Jawbreaker did, which was not so hot, was they really did sort of codify that kind of romanticized nostalgia for like 6 months ago when you were on the roof drinking like a Pabst and like kissing someone in creepers and which is again cool.
It's probably great,
but after after the 1,000th band has done it, it definitely, you're like, how many rooftops exist in these like gentrified areas that these people are all just like.
Don't those bands all just sing about being on tour all the time too? Just like
half the songs. I mean, that's why like a band like Pup is so amazing because they, and I say amazing in like the opposite day sense, but they're good. I'm sorry. Actually, that's me, asshole.
I've never publicly said
on me, but there's no reason to be like
because of where I live and because of the Venn diagram of where I live and how I operate. I've never publicly said how I actually feel about the music of pop, and I just pretend I've never heard it. So I'm going to go ahead. You can go ahead and flounder, but
Oh, me neither, man.
Yeah.
I think one thing that they do, which I actually do think is very funny about them, is they have like more songs about being in a band than Art Brut. Like they are, right. they really are into the fact that they are a band.
I feel like it's like post meta or something. Like it's not. There's no wink there. Is there to be?
No. They really like. It's weird because I'm gonna date myself by doing a spirited defense of Murder City Devils, but like,
of course, I mean, obviously you would.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. So in case for the listeners' benefit, I have a lot of crappy tattoos, and Murder City Devils is why. But they were a band that also sang constantly about being a band, but they took it, basically they were like, yeah, we're a band because we're like cowboys, and we're also sailors, and we're also astronauts, and we're gorgons, and we're rocket ships, and that's a hard thing to improve on. So now there's just all these bands that are like, yeah, just like the heroes of old, we drive 7 hours at a time and piss in bottles.
I mean, Keith, two things. Probably the reason the girl getting kissed in the Menzingers song is wearing creepers is in some evolutionary scale because of the Murder City Devils doing all that stuff you just mentioned. I mean, that probably did help gentrify rockabilly enough to get passed down like that.
That's true. That didn't even occur to me, and I think that's true. I actually just said creepers because I only know 2 types of shoes, and that was the first thing that came to mind. But yeah, but it's really Jawbreaker that's set in stone. In the way that, like, just a few years before them, Tom Waits set up a type of guy,
right.
And again, and that's the thing, like, it goes back to what you were saying about, like, do film bros exist? Do they not exist? And just because of discourse and all that, all these things go too far in one direction or the other. For a while, people were just saying that everybody's a film bro and they all just are snobs and this, that, and the other thing. And then now people are saying, oh, well, that's just total straw man. It doesn't exist at all. And it's just like, well, no, I mean, they exist. And I mean, I certainly in my 20s, I was, I had more than a touch of all of those things, Right. Maybe not the movie part, because I don't really, watch that many movies, but certainly about music and things like that, and I think, but I think people also forget that if we eliminate all these types of bro and types of, chick and types of non-gendered bore, we're just going to run out of people, like we just got to, like, eventually you have to talk to someone about something other than the weather.
Well, the other thing I was going to say related to what you just said, and then I have one more kind of Jawbreaker related thing that's going to probably make you mad as well. Like, kind of the whole, I think we describe those bands as being like fest bands. I think they used to be called orgcore, but all the post Jawbreaker kind of like smart guys with beards music, who they all love the butt girl from Bob's Burgers. I've noticed all those guys love that one character from Bob's Burgers who likes butts, the Eugene Merman, or is it Eugene? I don't even know. Anyways, all of their songs are about like losing their minds and dedicating themselves to tour, and they're predominantly like from the eastern side of the continent. And growing up in Western Canada, like every city from where I lived was usually, most cities were like 12 hours away. And then now that I live in Montreal, it's like half of these tours are like 2.5 hour drives each day. Like there's so many cities. It's not even like a big deal. It's like sitting in rush hour, basically. Why are they pissing in a bottle? Like, you know what I mean?
Bodily function control is, it's just one of the things when you're born on the East Coast.
It doesn't work for you.
They just encourage us to, like, pee as soon as we feel even like a little bit of an ache, and then that just lasts. But I do actually, it hadn't really occurred to me that it was maybe, and I don't know if that's true, but maybe it is about being more of an East Coast thing. And I wonder if that, to Jawbreaker's credit, they were not really super influenced by Bruce Springsteen, and all the bands that came after drew just as much from Bruce Springsteen as they did from Jawbreaker.
True.
I think they sort of, since none of them were going to be working in factories or be doing really any kind of like really strenuous physical labor. I think they had to take that sort of vibe, and Jawbreaker allowed them to take that sort of vibe and put it in touring and
True. Interesting.
Working a double at the coffee shop. And and I should mention to the listeners who might be gritting their teeth right now. I have been a bartender for 25 years. I am not fucking looking down on baristas.
Right.
I was just drinking a coffee.
That's true. I saw he was. I mean, actually, I do have one more question before my last annoying thing to say to you. But you mentioned Tom Waits earlier. You definitely, we're so stupid, and we've been talking about Blink-182 and Machine Gun Kelly for 5 years now. And so what I'm trying to understand is, and Sam certainly doesn't know, I know that he had throat surgery, but where did his style, he's obviously still doing that on purpose, kinda, that way that he sings. What's the, all these bands were influenced by Jawbreaker. Who is he mimicking when he sings like that, do you think?
Okay, well, there's a couple things. I mean, I think some of it is Lemmy.
Okay.
It's you grew up listening to Motorhead, and there's few things cooler, especially that just seeps in. Even if you absolutely leave that stuff behind.
Because Motorhead is, the bands that I think of that like Motorhead are Inepsy, cool shit likes Motorhead. But you think that maybe Blake also had there was a world where he could have gone crust, maybe. Well,
no, because the thing is, you look at a band like Leatherface, who are one of the great, I think one of the best pop punk bands ever, one of the best bands ever. That dude, I think it's Frankie Stubbs. That is Lemmy doing Jawbreaker melodies, and to be clear, concurrent of Jawbreaker. It wasn't, but that's sort of melodic stuff. And I do think that it is sort of there is an aspect of growing up with New York hardcore, which encourages and that kind of gruffer vocals. I'd love to give credit to, if this is true, but fuck it. I given my druthers, I would certainly give credit to Mark Ryan from Supertouch, who, I don't know if have you ever heard Supertouch?
You know how much I love getting to still say this at nearly 37 years old. I've heard of them, but I've never listened. The classic.
Yeah, they are not they're not as well known as they should be. And basically, they were New York hardcore guys, but they were definitely one of the first bands to do sort of mid-tempo hardcore, and with really hard on your sleeve introspective lyrics. Just because Mark Ryan's one of the most thoughtful guys I know, and I do think that did influence people, even if it was maybe influenced one band that then influenced another band. And I don't know if I know what the missing link is, but that's definitely where it's Mark Ryan, it's Lemmy. I'm sure there's 6 people I'm not thinking of, probably Dr. John fits in there somewhere. Oh, that kind of, because there is there is some of it does come from blues appropriation. There is the thing is, you want to sound you've lived in the world, and the world has been tough, and you smoke 3 packs a day because of that.
And that's why you want to give up and become a boat, basically.
Yeah. Listen.
There's this
sound cool.
There's this docuseries on Netflix called Chasing Cameron that's about YouTube influencers / Instagram influencers. It's one of the most, I feel if you watched it, you would probably collapse a million times. It's so just brutal YouTuber influencer shit. But one of the wranglers who manages all the kids, I figured out that he's a corpsman, and he's in, I forget which band. I think I remember the name, but it's a slur, which they probably didn't realize at the time. But he's in a stupid, dumbass, tough guy hardcore band, and he's also the wrangler of the YouTubers. And he was wearing some Deadstock Supertouch merch in this show. So I was kind of I love seeing that happen in real time. But the last thing I want to say, so I did, I've been talking about MGK all month, and I found my smoking gun kind of that tied it all together this week. in Spin Magazine, a review of the kickoff of the Dear You anniversary tour opener. I've already read this on the show, but I'm going to just read it again. You know, we're hours into this riveting episode. While tuning his guitar, Blake in Seattle said they played Bad Scene, Everyone's Fault, and then he said that it had never really felt right for them to play it in the past because it said due to the rising tide of pop punk groups coming behind them. That's an indirect quote. This is a direct quote. This is what Blake said while tuning. If I had kept on that road, I could be Machine Gun Kelly. I could be hanging out with Kardashians. And he laughed. I couldn't find a bootleg of the show. I mean, if I had that sound clip, that would be my life. I could retire happy. I don't have it, but that's what he said. Now, obviously, he's joking around. However, I do find it a little bit presumptuous that, like, if he had kept... I don't think that Jawbreaker could have ever been as big as Blink-182 or all the other, like, kind of silly boy bands that I love that you hate. Do you, like? I don't think he could have become Machine Gun Kelly.
I mean, I think that's absolutely true from both either of our perspectives of complimenting or insulting any of these artists. You know, I think that if I was going to be generous to Machine Gun Kelly, which I'm not inclined to be, but like I would say, well, no, of course, Jawbreaker never wrote anything, as catchy as the songs that Travis Barker writes for Machine Gun Kelly. But also, people love to eat shit. People love the taste of shit. They will just
amen, brother.
There is no flavor that humanity enjoys a big bowl of more than just absolute shit. And while Jawbreaker certainly was capable of that from time to time, they couldn't make a lifestyle out of it. And it's sort of like because but Blake's metaphors they don't always work, and they can certainly be heavy-handed. But like, even with Machine Gun Kelly and that song like Jawbreaker, she tastes like candy. Like, does this motherfucker think that the taste of the Jawbreaker is the characteristic that most people associate with it? Like,
that's a good
point. It's just blindingly stupid. And
he has a song called Sid and Nancy on his new album, right? I mean, I don't know if you knew that. That's something I feel like you need to know.
See, and the thing here's where in some ways I'm like, oh, that's cool, because if like people, like if they were more honest, and I don't mean just them, but I mean the people that write about them and stuff like that, and we're like, yeah, it's like Sex Pistols, a boy band. It's like we welcome all artifice, and we can find pleasure in that. And life is painful. Fucking let's hold on to the veil for as long as we can, because if we even approach something like the truth, it's just going to be it's horrible. It's horrible. Like life is tremendously sad. And so. Yeah, why not? Just like, just slather on that candy-coated shit. And just like, yeah. And even though obviously I'm being a bit of a prick about it, but also, and get through the day. There's value in that. So basically I'm fine with him having a song called Sid and Nancy. That's cool. Good for him.
See, you like Machine Gun. So we've concluded it. Zach admits he likes Machine Gun Kelly.
Big fan.
So before you go, real quick, the Zoom is about to force us to hang up, but please plug away. I know Cream Magazine back from the dead.
Yeah. No, please check out Cream Magazine. It's right now all the archives are up. I think right now it's free. It will be subscription, like pretty reasonably priced. And then there's gonna be a quarterly magazine. I think we're doing neat stuff, and I think the thing is, we're not. Just to be clear, there are people on staff that like Blink-182. That like a lot of this stuff. So, all you listeners, just pretend I'm not even here. Maria Sherman's got you. Don't worry about it. Subscribe. I don't want to go back to bartending. There's my cat co-signing that.